Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today at the Charles County Fall Meeting. I am thrilled to see such a great turnout this year. We're at capacity here at the Velocity Center, and I know she is right next door in a meeting because she's a busy woman, but I wanted to thank Dr. Wilson and her team at CSM for really being generous hosts and very flexible. We were here earlier this week, here a long day yesterday. Very gracious, supportive, and accommodating. For those that I've not had an opportunity to meet, my name is Jim Chandler. I'm new. I'm the Director of Economic Development here in Charles County. Started August 18th, so I'm approximately 10 weeks into the job. I feel very fortunate and excited to be stepping into this role as someone who now has the opportunity to lead the county's economic development vision. I'm even more excited to be with you today, hosting, this is obviously my first fall meeting, and the theme this year is the partnership economy. Our team put together a great lineup of business leaders, economic development professionals, and public sector partners for today's program. We'll explore how collaboration between businesses, government, education, and the community can drive innovation, strengthen Charles County's local economy, and create new opportunities. Before we officially get started, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. These events cost the county quite a bit. This would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And so just want to take a moment here. First, our breakfast sponsor, St. John Properties, and I see Andrew. Where's Andrew? Andrew Roud. Thank you. We have our gold sponsor, Waldorf Station, Greenberg Gibbons. We have Greenberg here. Thank you. And we have our silver sponsors, the College of Southern Maryland, Game Day Men's Health, Generate Digital Marketing, the Harbor Bank of Maryland, Kaiser Permanente, Rogers Consulting, Shasho Consulting Commercial Real Estate, Smedco, Standard Communities, T12 Technologies, and the University of Maryland Medical Systems. Please join me in a round of applause. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize our elected officials who are here today. Your leadership and your continued collaboration are key to helping Charles County move forward. We have Commissioner Ruben Collins, President of the Board of Commissioners. We have Mayor Brandon Paulin, the town of Indian Head, our host here this morning. If you are an elected official and I did not recognize you, please stand up. All right. Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. I'd like to take this opportunity to also recognize the many partners that make up Charles County's business community. The organizations, entrepreneurs, and leaders who work together to move our county forward. On behalf of the Economic Development team and our Circle of Service partners, thank you for the investment, your collaboration, and your commitment to Charles County. Today's fall meeting is dedicated to all the partners that strengthen our community and fuel our local economy. To get us started this morning, I'd like to invite up to the stage the President of the Charles County Board of Commissioners, Ruben Collins, to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. You know, collaboration for the sake of simply collaborating is really ill-advised. But collaborating with purpose is partially why we are here today. I'd like to say again good morning to all of you on behalf of Charles County government. We're honored to host so many business leaders, entrepreneurs, and partners here at the College of Southern Maryland's Velocity Center. I want to begin by thanking Jim Chandler, who you just heard from, Michelle Fry, and the entire Economic Development Department for organizing another outstanding event. This annual meeting is a cornerstone for our economic community, a space where ideas are exchanged, partnerships are formed, and our shared vision for growth takes shape. The theme for this year's program, the partnership economy, reflects a simple truth. Lasting success in today's world comes from working together. Collaboration between businesses, government, and community is how we expand opportunities, strengthen our local economy, and prepare for the future. Whether it's connecting small businesses to regional resources or aligning local projects with state and federal initiatives, partnership is the engine that drives our progress. One of the most exciting examples of this collaborative spirit is the Western Charles County Technology Corridor. Anchored by the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Indian Head Division, this initiative connects Charles County's proud defense and technology roots with our future as a hub for innovation and private investment. The county is focused on strengthening infrastructure, expanding workforce housing, and creating the amenities that attract businesses and, more importantly, talent. Through strong partnerships with our federal and state allies and with private sector innovators, we're positioning Western Charles as a regional driver of growth and opportunity. Across the county, that same momentum is visible in our continued economic expansion. We're seeing record business engagement and new investment in Waldorf, La Plata, and the town of Indian Head. Developments such as the Waldorf Station by Greenberg Gibbons are transforming how we think about mixed-use growth, connecting business, housing, and recreation in vibrant new ways. We're also investing in facilities like the Sports and Wellness Complex, which will be in the former Sears building at the St. Charles Town Center in Waldorf. And this will serve both residents and visitors while strengthening our economy and our sense of community. These projects create quality jobs, expand our tax base, and ensure resources for vital priorities: education, infrastructure, and public safety. But none of this happens without partnerships. None of it happens without collaboration. We're grateful for the continued collaboration of all of our local, state, and federal partners, especially in advancing critical projects such as the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit and our efforts to meet Maryland's clean energy goals. These investments not only improve connectivity and sustainability, but they also open new avenues for business innovation and workforce development. So I encourage everyone to use this meeting as an opportunity to connect, collaborate, and explore ways to build stronger networks across our expanding region. And as you hear from today's keynote speakers, and the Secretary Wu is here, and we'd like to welcome you to Charles County, I hope the insight that you will hear will inspire you to think boldly about how partnerships can redefine what's possible for your business and for our county. Together, through shared effort and vision, we're shaping an economy built on trust, collaboration, and innovation. Thank you for your continued partnerships, your investment, and your belief in our county. Together, we will continue to build a stronger, more connected, and more prosperous Charles County. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Next, I'm going to welcome to the stage my boss and our acting county administrator, Ms. Deborah Hall.
Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to see so many friendly faces here today. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of Charles County government for coming out in record numbers to support economic development and this program today. I want to also thank Commissioner President Collins and really the entire board for their leadership and vision. So much has been accomplished in these last 3 years. Just a side note, I only got 5 minutes, and I really wanted to show a video. I had a lot more to say, but I have to restrict it to 5 minutes today. But we've been able to respond to the growth in the county by providing resources and amenities, yet we've balanced all of that with sound fiscal management, which is a great segue into our most recent bond visit to New York. Charles County continues to hold strong bond ratings, a reflection of our fiscal responsibility, conservative budgeting, and long-term planning. We continue to maintain high levels of reserves, which, by the way, is the #1 thing that they look at when we go to New York. We manage our debt prudently, and we fund capital improvement projects strategically. Make no mistake about that. Managing our reserves and having a strong and rapid paydown of our debt equals financial flexibility, which in turn enables us to invest in key infrastructure and economic development initiatives without compromising our stability. Over the last several years, we've intentionally invested in our emergency services department, and we've increased our locations and our number of staff to respond to the residents and the growth in our county. These next few years, we are focusing on recreation, parks, and tourism assets. And I see Ms. Ashley in the audience. One key element in that strategy, as Commissioner President Collins mentioned, is our Sports and Wellness Center in Waldorf, Maryland. A fact that many of you may not know is that Waldorf is our most populated area with the least amount of recreational amenities. We've taken a great opportunity to take this one purchase and turn it into a shining example of eliminating blight and instead turning this area into a thriving economic development engine. While the Sports and Wellness Center is something we often discuss, make no mistake, Charles County is making strides in other capital investments that include transportation, schools, and broadband that ensure Charles County remains competitive and a highly desirable and livable community. This administration has made no bones about their #1 goal, and that's economic development. We are excited to welcome Jim Chandler to our team. He brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to the table, not only in economic development, but specifically redevelopment. He knows how to get projects across the finish line. Welcome, Jim. I have high expectations. The county's sound fiscal policy, combined with our prioritization of economic development, dovetailed with our desire to provide recreational amenities, will allow economic development and its partners to pursue initiatives like the Western Tech Corridor. This is really the Commissioner's commitment, to create an environment where businesses can thrive, families can prosper, and communities can sustain long-term success. I want to commend our economic development team and all its partners for the leadership and collaboration. I want to encourage our attendees to stay engaged and continue to contributing ideas that shape our county's future. Charles County's success is built on partnerships, and that's true everywhere, right? Fiscal, strategic, and human. Together, we are ensuring a vibrant future for generations to come. And that's really what I've been about. and Commissioner and the entire board, generations to come. It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today's event. I want to welcome Ms. Portia Wu, who was appointed by the governor in 2022 to lead the Maryland Department of Labor. Over the last 3 years, Secretary Wu and her team at Labor have been focused on connecting workers to jobs, nothing more important than right now, supporting businesses, and protecting workers, consumers, and the public. And of course, the important work of preparing Maryland's workforce for the jobs of today and tomorrow requires partnerships across the state. It's all connected to the partnership economy. Please help me welcome Secretary Wu to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to join you today and to see so many familiar faces. I want to congratulate Jim. It sounds like he's got a high bar that Deb has set for him, so excited to have him on this new adventure. And thank you to Deb for introducing me, and of course, thank you to Commission President Collins and all the commissioners and electeds who are here. I also want to thank Ruthie Davis. I don't know if I saw her in the room, but of course, such a strong partner for us with the Tri-County Workforce System. So, it's great to be here. I love the theme of partnership today. And all of you are doing such a great job. You know, what I love about coming to Charles County is I really see how everyone works hand in glove, right? This room is so representative of how all the partners in government and education and the private sector are working every day to make Charles County more resilient and a stronger economy. And frankly, this is one of the most dynamic areas of our state with tremendous potential because of the Naval Support Facility and all the wonderful innovation that's happening here. But I have to say, it's a challenging moment. I'm just going to take a moment to speak personally here, because I know a lot of folks here are impacted. Of course, you know, the federal government and its work is central to Charles County's economy. It's critical to Maryland's economy, but it's also very personal for a lot of us, right? Like, a lot of us have family members, neighbors, community members who are feds who are just worried about what's happening right now. I will say I was myself a Fed for 15 years. Both my parents were career Feds. They, you know, healed and cared for thousands of our nation's veterans, like they dedicated their whole careers to that. So I understand how incredibly important that public service is and how difficult this moment is when there's just so much uncertainty. So I do want to say a few things. You know, first of all, I don't think any of us really know how this is all going to play out at the federal level, but I do know one thing, and that's first, we have to support our public servants, right? This is critical. It's critical to this county. It's critical to our state. These are people who have served our nation, and we need to serve them. So I feel very privileged at the Department of Labor in the state to be able to do a lot of that work. So we've been doing our part to support federal workers, federal contractors. We have a couple of key programs. One of them is a zero-interest loan, either to laid-off feds or to accepted workers who are working now without pay. And we've seen almost 2,000 Marylanders apply for that program already. We've had over 4,500 Marylanders who are feds on furlough apply, and this is all since October 1st. Right, so we're talking several thousand Marylanders who, and I will admit, we're a little short-staffed, so I handle a lot of the applications myself and review them, and I see people have bills to pay, and they're really struggling. But I do feel fortunate that we're able to jump in there and provide that short-term relief. If there's anyone here who, you know, isn't sure if the people in your county or in your neighborhood know about these resources, that's what we're here for. We're happy to provide more information about that. We're also, of course, working on job fairs, working with our community and faith partners to get the word out and provide people with whatever assistance they need in these tough times. So that's the urgent need of the moment, but we know there are bigger challenges ahead. Under Governor Moore, we've created almost 100,000 private sector jobs in Maryland during his administration so far, but we know there is a lot more to do to diversify and to grow our state's economy. And so at Labor, the way we think about this, of course, is that's a skills and workforce development challenge. Because we know economic development isn't just about attracting businesses, it's also about investing in our people, because when we invest in our people, we're investing in our long-term growth, and that's absolutely critical. So here in Southern Maryland and Charles County, we've partnered with Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland and the College of Southern Maryland to deliver on that vision. I'm proud to say that Maryland Department of Labor has invested over $700,000 in workforce development in the Tri-County area in Southern Maryland in recent months. That includes the Earn Maryland program, where we help people with training people in areas like computer-aided design, CNC machining, and other skills critical for advanced manufacturing. The Road to Careers Initiative, which is helping both adults and also some pre-apprenticeship students really prepare for careers in transportation and transportation infrastructure, and many other areas, including helping returning citizens become entrepreneurs and gain skills to really survive and thrive. I'm particularly proud of the work we've been doing on apprenticeship. So we all know that people learn in many ways, and I think one thing that you've heard Governor Moore talk about a lot passionately is there are other paths to success that are not necessarily a four-year college degree. And we need to make sure that our young people know about those paths and have those opportunities. So we have about a dozen high school youth apprentices in Charles County. I will say some other counties have more, so we're happy to work with you on getting more opportunities for our young people, working with high schools to create that, and expanding those programs statewide. We have over 400 county residents that are enrolled in apprenticeship somewhere around our state. So this is absolutely a critical path. And for all the employers out there, we want to make sure that we can help you if you're having some talent challenges. Think about how apprenticeship could be a path for you. We've got some incentives that we can put out there to help make the cost easier. We can pay for the mentorship staffing, we can pay for curriculum, we can pay for a lot of other things. So we want to help you grow that next generation of talent. And finally, I'll just close on some of this bigger thing, right? We need to serve our federal public servants. We need to figure out the workforce pipeline. We also need to think about what are some of the challenges of the industries of the future. Like, as if it wasn't enough, on top of all the things we have going on, then we have AI coming on, and we have to think about what the heck are we going to do with that. I will say I actually came from a tech company before I came to the state, so I've had the chance to think about this, and something we're trying to do with our approach at the Department of Labor is really think about how can we incorporate cybersecurity, AI, some of these tools that really everyone and every industry are going to need to have skilled workers in. I'm proud to say we brought the Cyber Maryland program over to the department earlier this year. We actually have an open grant now to build some cyber and AI clinics. We've funded cyber ranges where you get to do some hands-on testing at all the community colleges across the state. Because it's important to think about developing that talent pipeline and having people get those skills, but we need to make sure everyone has access to those skills. I think we've seen in some of the digital revolutions in the past that not everyone had access, and it feels like, especially with the changes in AI, Maryland has one of the highest ratios of AI-impacted occupations in the country. That's because we have a lot of knowledge workers, so it's a huge risk, but it's also a huge opportunity. Because if we can ride this wave of AI in some of these cutting-edge industries, AI in cyber, AI in biotechnology, AI in national security, we can really continue to grow Maryland and really be leaders in some of the technological changes that are happening now. And I know that is a huge part of Charles County's vision, is how to take advantage of the tremendous wealth of talent and innovation you have right here in the county and capitalize on those AI changes. So, those are a lot of things. Those are some big challenges, but I know, at the department we certainly cannot do this alone, and nor can any single county or business or college, right? We're all in it together, and that's why I was so struck by the theme of partnership that you have today. These are really big challenges, but I know that we can really surely meet them together, and so I just want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for your partnership and for the work you're doing each and every day to make this a better place for all Marylanders. Thanks.
Thank you, Secretary Wu. That was terrific. Great start, great keynote start off this morning. We appreciate your leadership, your commitment to fostering a thriving business community here, both in the county and in the state of Maryland. Now I'm excited to have my Deputy Director, Michelle Fry, come to the stage to present our first in-kind recognition of a valued partner here in the Charles County community.
Thank you so much, Jim. And in the spirit of this year's theme, we in the Department of Economic Development created its first annual Partner of the Year Award. This award is to recognize a valued partner whose collaboration, leadership, and commitment have significantly advanced Charles County's economic growth. We are honored to present this year's award to our good friends and our Circle of Services partners, the Military Alliance Council. So the MAC is being recognized for its steadfast partnership and advocacy on behalf of Naval Support Facility Indian Head, the town of Indian Head, and our broader Western Charles County Technology Corridor. The MAC continues to play a pivotal role in bridging the gap between the base, the town, and our local stakeholders. This important work serves to strengthen relationships and advance shared priorities that help drive the economic development in our region. I welcome Pam Frank as well as Steve Mitchell to join me up front to accept the award on behalf of the Military Alliance Council. So please give me and join me in giving them a round of applause to celebrate this very well-deserved recognition. And if I can ask Commissioner Collins and Mayor Pollan to join us for the photo as well.
All right. Again, Military Alliance Council, Pam was one of the first people I had the opportunity to meet here in Charles County. So impressed the work that they do and the partnership role that they play here with us in Charles County. I'm going to ask Michelle Fry, Deputy, to come to the stage again. We're going to brief the annual report and talk a little bit about some of the accomplishments over this past year. There's quite a few. We're going to try to be brief and hit some of the highlights. Well, you know, as we talked at the start, I'm relatively new. I'm 10 weeks into this job. Transition here has been truly enjoyable, and I know I've had an opportunity to speak to a lot of folks in the audience here. Charles County is just different, and I think it's a reflection of leadership. It's certainly intentional, and so when I first came in, where's Deb? Deb, I explained to Deb, and we talked about it today, we talk about it often, core values, right? And Charles County has 7 core values. They're communication, innovation, well-being, integrity, initiative, respect, and teamwork. It is something we live day in and day out, and our team at Economic Development as I really enjoy the opportunity and the opportunity to work with a really collaborative bunch that lives and breathes these core values on a day-to-day basis. And so you never know when you join an organization exactly what you're getting. I am very happy to say that my team lives these core values, and certainly I am appreciative of that. We have some new faces. I'm not the only newbie to the team. So when I call your name, please stand. Chastity Durham Miller, our small and minority business specialist. Where's Chastity? We have Paul Rupert, our Senior Commercial Development Manager. And our most recent addition to the team, Molly Meehan, our Agricultural and Rural Development Manager. Turning to the annual report, and everybody should have at their table two documents. One is the annual report. The second is our asset inventory. And the purpose of the annual report, it's intended to provide readers with a sort of comprehensive highlight reel of our economic development efforts. The report does highlight federal transition resources, so we included a QR code in there. And as we all know, this is a changing landscape, and to be the most up-to-date and relevant, we thought QR code with a resource page where we provide updates as both federal and state opportunities become available. The other, and throughout the report, you'll see a Faces of Charles County. And this is a direct tie to our partnerships, right? And we thought it was important to spotlight business owners, industry experts, EDD program participants, and the other community leaders here within the annual report. The report also shows how strategic investment, public-private partnerships, and committed people create results that matter to families and neighborhoods here in Charles County. The second document, the asset inventory, was something that was introduced last year by the economic development team. And it is, we received very positive feedback. And so it was spun out of the annual plan. The asset inventory provides more of a situational awareness. And so economic development statistics, business infrastructure, and opportunities available in the county. The inventory is intended really for additional context and perspective, and to build a knowledge base for strategic planning. We also, within the asset inventory, recognize that there is added value in asset mapping, which really points out sort of the critical steps in utilizing county resources for economic development.
So like Jim mentioned, we are super proud of all the work that our team has done this year. One of the things that we are most proud about is that we actually received a 2025 MEDA Small Community and Economic Development Project Award for the Oasis Fresh Food Market here in the town of Indian Head. So as many of you know, Indian Head was a federally designated food desert for over 2 decades, where the residents had very limited access to fresh and affordable groceries. And the owners of Market Maryland Steel, they also own Clarity Coffee House and Pentagon Suites that are here in the town, recognized this need and chose to invest in their community yet again. The project that they have, Oasis Fresh Food Market, offers fresh produce. They have modern apartments above, and also a local ice cream shop that actually just closed but had phenomenal ice cream. And what they did for the economy here in Indian Head was create an economic and social impact for the town. We're seeing great strides with this project, and we're really happy that they decided to invest in Indian Head. It's really become a cornerstone of the town of Indian Head's resurgence and a model for inclusive revitalization, not only for the town, but across the region. And this award reflects the power of public-private partnership to transform not just a building, but a community. And we are very proud to see that it was recognized statewide at the MEDA Annual Conference this past April. So we're super proud of that. The next thing I wanted to highlight is back in June of 2025, we officially launched our 3rd Sister City partnership with Matula, Mozambique. This marks an important step towards our global collaboration efforts in economic development, education, and cultural exchange. It was a week-long tour that we had with the delegation that included the formal signing with our Board of County Commissioners to establish the partnership with Mozambique. We had tours of Charles County Public Schools, so thank you to our partnership with Charles County Public Schools, University of Maryland Charles Regional Medical Center, and a number of our ag community members, including Serenity Farm and Zakiah Ridge Farm and Flowers. We also did a number of local small businesses that week, and we're able to tour and have conversations with them as well, including Landon's Ice Cream, Ices and Creams, and Honey Baked Cake Factory in Bryan's Road. And we got to meet with a lot of the local leaders and business partners throughout that week as well. The visit concluded with a meaningful discussion on future of collaboration in trade, workforce development, and entrepreneurship. And this really kind of helps strengthen our international relationships and helps build a bridge between Charles County and Mozambique in Africa as a dynamic economic region. The next thing I want to highlight is we were honored to host a number of visits from the Maryland Department of Commerce. In April and September of this year, we had the privilege of hosting not only Secretary Harry Coker, but also Deputy Secretary Stephen Rice from the Department of Commerce. These visits showcased Charles County's innovation and collaboration and leadership with Maryland's growing economy. For Secretary Coker's visit, we were able to do a full-day tour exploring a number of our assets, including a boat tour of Mallows Bay, which you can see on the screen. The Secretary thoroughly enjoying himself on that one, as well as a roundtable briefing with a number of our economic development Circle of Services partners here at the Maryland Technology Center in the town of Indian Head, with our partners at the United States Bomb Technician Association. And then we followed it up with a downtown tour, a walking tour of the town of La Plata, and a visit to one of our manufacturing plants, Schutz International, and it followed by a networking reception at Copper Compass. So a full-day tour with the Secretary showcasing a number of Charles County's businesses, assets, and resource partners. And again, it really emphasized our partnership culture and entrepreneurship spirit that we have here in Charles County. And for Secretary Rice's tour, we focused on the Western Technology Corridor. That is a key economic development strategic initiative that we've been focusing on. And we did a number of tours, again, not only of the College of Southern Maryland Velocity Center, which we're at, Maryland Technology Center, as well as a driving tour of a number of our other major projects that we have coming on the pipeline in Charles County. And again, these tours really reinforced our reputation as a statewide hub for technology, innovation, and business development, and really helps to deepen our partnership with the Maryland Department of Commerce. So we're really thankful for their continued support and partnership as we move forward. And we'll turn it back over to Jim.
Thank you, Michelle. We have a common theme here. It's partnerships, right? There's also an evolution, and we're cognizant that the commercial real estate in Charles County is changing and is evolving. You know, I have the good fortune in our office. Mark Thompson leads our commercial development team, and really is sort of our first point of contact for retail industrial development in Charles County. And we're seeing right now today some really transformative projects here in the county. Waldorf Station project is creating a new gateway into the county off of 301. The other is, as I was driving here this morning, entering the Western Technology Corridor, Berry Point is taking shape, and we see sort of the fruits of the labor St. John Properties has invested. This is not an accident at all. It's very intentional that Charles County is focused on breathing new life into our commercial corridors, right? We have very well-defined commercial corridors. We have good bones. And so I'm very confident that our commitment to the Western Technology Corridor will bear fruit. And the reason why is we have assets, right? So we have the Maryland Airport. We have Bryan's Road, all leading to the naval facility at Indian Head. $2.7 billion in investment to modernize the base. I don't think I need to explain to a lot of folks in this room why Indian Head's important and what it does, right? Mark has the best saying for people unfamiliar with it. He says, Indian Head, well, they do research and development and production of the things that go boom, right? Real easy to understand for people less familiar with Indian Head. But certainly, it's our goal to create an energetics ecosystem, which provides Charles County with a strategic partnership for our federal government, our regional partners, and the mission of national defense. We have Waldorf Urban Revitalization Corridor, and my colleague Jason Groth is here. I know I saw Jason. And so our team works closely with Jason's team in bringing a new urban corridor to life. If you're not familiar with the Waldorf Urban Revitalization Corridor, it is the next big thing here in Charles County. Certainly partnerships again, partnerships both at the state level, hopefully the federal level, to bring new life, transportation, some density to our downtown corridors. And it's something that Mark and his team on a daily basis are working through in coordination with the county team. The other big component, I know we introduced Molly earlier, is a renewed focus on agriculture, right? You look at a map of Charles County land and you see agriculture and those agricultural opportunities. And so we see that as a really strategic piece in our economic development portfolio of how we are interacting with our agricultural partners, how we are introducing opportunities for agriculture tech. And so that is something that it really excites me. I know if you haven't had a chance to talk to Molly, something that she lives and breathes. And again, it's something that is a priority to us, priority to the commissioners, an area of focus. The last sort of commercial piece I want to talk about, and Mark and his team are fully engaged on advancing the county's efforts for a zoning text amendment that will really define the development standards for data centers. I know it's a big discussion nationally, regionally, locally. We are working through a very deliberate process that focuses our opportunities on industrial zoned land in the county. Just for situational awareness, the county's industrial land makes up 2% of all land area. And so limited opportunities, right? But being strategic about where these opportunities might be placed, where they are compatible, working with Jason's team on development standards that make sense for Charles County, that reflect our values, and certainly eyes open here and learning lessons from our adjacent communities. Moving on to our business services team. So it's led by Lucretia Freeman Buster. She unfortunately is a little bit under the weather, cannot be with us this morning. But I thought it was important to highlight a program that she takes a lot of pride in delivering to our community. Even back when I was researching this opportunity here with Charles County, the BGAP program really jumped off the page to me. And so this is a program that was launched in 2022 as part of the county's efforts for a COVID-19 recovery to support micro, small, minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. This business skills building program was designed to help entrepreneurs with practical skills, resources, and mentorship to help them receive, grow, and thrive in a rapidly changing business environment. You can see there the stats. What really jumped out to me is the results of this program total $1.4 million in direct investment into the local business community. It's a big number for a pretty small program, right? And so numbers jump off the page, I think, for our partners, bringing that value to the table, right? Bringing program to say, well, we have this program, it exists. Delivering programming that makes sense for our partners is a big focus here. I know Lucretia is very proud of the BGAP program. Commissioner Collins was at our most recent graduation last Thursday. We had 8 additional graduates. Even more impressive, rather than just being satisfied with good, strive for excellent. And so BGAP 360 was introduced as the next opportunity for folks have gone through the BGAP program. They wanted something else, right? They wanted that additional mentorship. And so Lucretia and her team created 3 tracks on the BGAP 360, a business expansion and innovation track, an accelerator track, and a salon and spa track. And so these tracks extend BGAP's mission by delivering programs, growth, create jobs, and strengthen our local economy. Next slide. So the last section I'm going to talk about in terms of our programming is our MWBE, SLBE programs. And so our small local business entrepreneurship program is available for Charles County's qualified local small firms for access to informal Charles County government procurements under $50,000 and bid preferences on formal solicitations between $50,000 and $500,000. So this program is race, gender neutral, and really is designed to grow and support locally headquartered companies here in Charles County. The other program that we have is our MWBE program, which aims to broaden participation by minority, women, and disabled veteran-owned firms here in Charles County by offering procurement opportunities to public dollars to better reflect marketplace diversity. If you are interested in learning more about these programs during our intermission, please introduce yourself to Chastity. Chastity, put your hand up again. Introduce yourself to Chastity, and she will certainly schedule time to meet with you, your company, your team, to get a better understanding of how this goes. So I'm excited, and way back when I interviewed for this, my boss told me 2 really high up priorities here, and this was number 1. And so I'm happy to announce that our MWBE certification portal will go live on Thursday, December 18th. And so this is going to provide eligible Charles County business owners with the opportunity to certify as well as seek out procurement opportunities online. And so this certification portal is a major project, obviously, of leadership. I know the commissioners made it front and center as part of our MWBE priorities and program, and I am very thankful and relieved that we were able to announce it here today that we are live as of December 18th. So, thank you. Next slide.
And I'm going to wrap it up with some of our marketing initiatives. So our marketing team, which consists of Jack Street, who's behind the helm over here, managing everything, as well as Jennifer Reginald, continues to help elevate Charles County's visibility locally, regionally, and nationally. We maintained a targeted advertising campaign to help spotlight priority industries and attract site selectors and investors to Charles County. This year, we placed particular focus on our defense and technology industries, effectively telling our story, Charles County story, to a national audience. So we're really proud of that. Looking ahead for our team, one of the things we're really excited about is we are actually undertaking a full economic development website refresh. This new design will be launched in 2026 to help better showcase our data, our commercial real estate information and opportunities, and business resources in an easier to read and streamlined economic development website. Again, positioning the county as a premier destination for investment. One of the other marketing initiatives that I really wanted to focus on is our With Love from Charles digital gift card program. This was developed in partnership with our Department of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism team, and a number of them are here, so if I can get you to stand up. This shows that true partnership and collaboration, we are able to achieve a lot and help continue to grow our local economy. So thank you to our tourism partners. We could not do this one without you, so thank you. As of today, we have 43 local businesses who are now enrolled as part of this program. And this program, we have done a very robust marketing campaign for, which included social media posts, billboards, radio, and print since we started this program last year. So we're really excited to have 43 of our local businesses as part of it. And I encourage you, if you have not already gotten a gift card or anything like that, to take advantage of it, especially during this holiday season, but to continue to support local and to support our local economy. And then the other thing I wanted to pinpoint is on our current economic development website, we have a number of key stats that you can see on the screen. Our downloads for all of our different resource publications as well as reports that we put out is up 59% quarter to quarter. And people are staying on the website longer than they have before, over 15% more over the last year. And we've had over 49,000 new users take advantage of the resources and opportunities we have on our website. And again, as we go forth into this holiday season, again, this is my plug to you all to continue to shop local, support our local businesses. You know, I know it's easy to go on Amazon and to buy things online, but when you support local, you're helping our economy, you're helping our small businesses grow and be successful, and that's what this is all about. We want our small businesses to be successful here in Charles County. My last plug to you is to be our economic development ambassadors. Join our e-news. We do a monthly e-news that gets sent out with a number of information on different resources that come out, especially as things are transitioning with the federal government. It's our up-to-date resource for you. We have different trainings, we have different educational opportunities, and spotlights on businesses that have had successes. So it's a great one-stop shop for you via email, so you can register on our website. And again, follow us on our socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. And that wraps it up.
All right. Thank you, Michelle, and that was terrific. And this is one of those things where I came in and I said, oh, the annual report, who does this? I said, we do it. We do it in-house. It is very impressive to watch these documents evolve. Our team puts a lot of time and effort to it. It is a quality product. As Deb reminds me, she's not settling for good, she wants excellent. And so that's something I remember, and anything that goes out the door, it has that stamp of excellence. And so thank you, Michelle, thank you, team. So our first panel is entitled Supporting Business Growth. From counseling and training to strengthen the company's financial readiness, connections to both traditional and alternative lending, these partnerships provide the tools, the resources, and the capital required for businesses to scale and grow. And so joining us on the panel today are leaders at the forefront of this. Brad Fallon, Assistant Secretary of Business Development at Maryland DHCD. James Stewart Smith, Vice President of Business Development at FSC First. And James Vasquez, Regional Director of the Maryland Small Business Development Center. And to get us started, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our friend, Jerry Sanford, Managing Director of Economic Development at the Harbor Bank of Maryland.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank Commissioner President for making that statement about collaboration with purpose. I really like that thought, and it kind of really leads into our panel this morning. We have some very knowledgeable gentlemen that are going to give some great insights. And let's just jump into the panel, right? First, I want to give each of you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your institution, and we'll go into deeper some questions. Stu, you want to start us off?
I will. Good morning, everybody. My name is Stuart Smith. I'm Vice President of Business Development at FSC First. I've got two great team members here with me. Jasmine Forbes is here, and Maria Randall, one of our great support consultants, is here. FSC First has been in business over 48 years. We are the premier non-bank lender in our marketplace. And one thing I want to say about support, in my vision, support is all about access to capital. And I want to debunk a mystery right now. Access to capital does exist, regardless of anything that you may hear. While the federal government is on whatever you want to call it, We have so many loan funds in our toolbox that we can provide funding anywhere from $50,000 to $5.5 million. So don't listen to friends. You can get funding, but the key word is preparation.
James?
Stu, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's great. My name is James Vasquez. Good morning, everyone. I'm with the Maryland Small Business Development Center, SBDC, we like to say, otherwise I'll be hoarse by the time we're done with this panel. So what we do is we work with small business owners like yourselves to either start a business, grow a business, and manage your business. We really focus in the three areas that matter most to business owners, and that's money, marketing, and management. And like Stu said, we also can help you navigate through the process of funding, which is the number one reason why people come to us. And we do have some of our team members in the room. We serve Charles County, Calvert County, and St. Mary's County. But our consultants in the room, we have is Bill Hitty, longtime professional consultant, 25 years in Charles County. And we have our new pre-venture consultant, Tammy Wright. Thank you.
So James, you represent Southern Maryland, but there are SBDCs throughout the country, right? Is that true?
Yeah, Jerry, thanks for bringing that up. Absolutely. Anywhere there is U.S. soil, there is an SBDC. So yeah, in the Virgin Islands, there's an SBDC. So if you hear of an opening, let me know.
Thank you. Brad?
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad I went last, actually, because in some ways, we're the intersection of these things, right? And we work with both the SBDC and our CDFI partners frequently. I'm Brad Fallon. I'm Assistant Secretary for Business Development at the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. That's a very long title. I'm about 3.5 months into this job. And so my division that I lead is also about 3.5 months old. And we're standing things up. Secretary Jake Day, who leads DHCD, really wanted to focus in on providing business development services and access to capital, right? To a similar mission as FSC, we come in to figure out how we can seed investments for those entrepreneurs who may not have the credit or the revenue history to be able to go out and receive the type of loan or investments that they need. Or we serve as gap financing, right? A project has gotten up to a certain point, they can't take on more private debt, we'll come on and make something work, right? We also have really been building out our business development side, where we have a longer-term relationship with our individual borrowers and applicants, and we have really focused in on a broader focus on childcare access and make sure that we have enough suppliers in the market, fresh food access, to ensure that there is SNAP and WIC capability, as well as the capability to have fresh food, coolers, things like that, at corner stores and grocery stores around the state, and making sure that we're ensuring wealth creation by helping folks who might run a food truck move into a brick and mortar store, or somebody who may be operating, purchase the building that they're operating in.
Thank you, Brad. Now, you made one mistake, right? The mistake was, when we're in government or kind of close to government, we throw out acronyms, right? So you said CDFI. Can you explain that for folks?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Community Development Financial Institution. These are really mission-driven banks, right, that we work with frequently at DHCD. We have a lot of loan-to-lender relationships with them. Those folks typically operate in a CDFI zone, which is a federally designated zone by the U.S. Treasury, and they are flexible like the government in some ways, right? They provide access to capital to those who may not be banked by kind of private banks that we all think of, your M&Ts of the world.
All right, you made two mistakes now. You said CDFIs are banks, but Stu, on the end, are you a bank?
We are not. We're a not-for-profit organization, but I got to take a shameless plug. Brad, thank you for $2 million.
You're very welcome.
And the money that we get from Brad and his team enable us to really put more tools in our toolbox. So come get it.
So I say that jokingly. Our institution, we're also a CDFI. We're 3 times over CDFI. Again, my name is Jerry Sanford, Managing Director for the Harbor Bank of Maryland. For those that know me, you know I'm not a traditional banker finance person. My background is primarily corporate development, economic development. But I do work for the Harbor Bank of Maryland. Bank Holding Company is a CDFI. The community bank, the Harbor Bank of Maryland, is a CDFI. And our nonprofit, the Community Development Corporation, is also a CDFI. We are also a CDE, Community Development Entity. which is for a federal product called New Market Tax Credits that gets investments into underserved communities. And by underserved, those are communities that have lower incomes in their census tracts. But let's dive into the questions. What do you see are the biggest challenges facing the small business community, and how can they be prepared to overcome these challenges? James, you want to take a shot at that first?
Thanks, Jerry. Absolutely. I take this very personally as a small business owner, but also as the director of the Small Business Development Center, one of which I want everybody here to know. I talked to a lot of business owners here earlier when we were networking before breakfast, and the challenges that you're facing are very real. I also want to thank Secretary Wu for bringing it to a personal level for how we are impacted here with what's going on. But more importantly, I want to see, the way I see it, our consultants are the front line of what's going on with you guys, you business owners, because we hear firsthand. I find that there's three main challenges that we could categorize them into, and that's really building up sustainability, adaptability, and visibility of your business. Now, what do I mean by that? Number one, rising costs. It's not a surprise that rising costs are a factor in business today. We have rising costs for your operations, for your management, for anything, whether it's your product or service. But then we also have the other side where consumers aren't really helping us any by spending. We have consumers that are being really cautious with their spend. So rising costs and tighter margins are really an issue for business owners today, and that's a major challenge that they're facing. One of the other ones that we always hear it is the workforce. We have to really understand today's workforce, and that's a challenge. The workforce today is very different than it has been in decades. And we hear the sustainability of this workforce, what it takes to get people, retain people, and train people. I mean, I have a nephew. He was making a high six-figure salary at a great IT company, and he literally just quit, up and quit. And he did that because he said he couldn't identify with the culture. So you have to understand, these are the things that we come across, and the culture is one of them. Now he's working at Starbucks. So nothing against Starbucks, but that's what he wanted. And then visibility of your business. This is nothing new. Age-old adage, you have to market your business or you won't make it. And right now, technology is always a factor with businesses, as it always is. And it's moving even faster with this little buzzword called AI. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. And that's an area that we need to really grow and empower our businesses with education, learning, and knowledge and expertise, and partnering as our collaboration, strategic partnering with people in this room, resource partners here on my panelists. College of Southern Maryland's a really big one with workforce, and that's what's facing the problem today in the business.
Do you have something to add?
Yeah, that was great. One challenge I see on a consistent basis when I get in front of entrepreneurs, and I want you as entrepreneurs not to make this a challenge going forward, be able to talk to a lender about your numbers. You talk to us about your numbers so we understand that you know your business. So many people come to the table, I got this great product, but they don't come in with their numbers. Numbers get us banker types that control purses very, very happy and ready to help you. So know your numbers, be able to talk about those, and I guarantee you we can potentially get you to the next level.
Brad, do you have anything to add?
I really don't. They nailed it. They're making my job easy.
Perfect. I want to take a quick moment we have Brad representing the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, Secretary Wu representing the Maryland Department of Labor. I want to point out a former colleague from the Maryland Department of Commerce, Senior Director Tamar Osterman. She's definitely somebody that you should get to know before you leave today. Next question. With the pace of change happening so rapidly with technology, such as artificial intelligence, AI, how is your organization helping business owners stay educated, connected, and ready for these changes through outreach and training programs?
I'll jump in there. At FSC First, we are committed to the changing environment that we operate in. We've got a great program called Level Up. It is a free technical assistance program that we bring in technical experts to embrace technology, embrace AI, embrace marketing, embrace accounting, and we get you in sessions to help you automate your business plan. So when you come into our organization, we've got the tools the modern-day tools this November 4th, 2025, to help you work in this new and changing environment.
I'm going to piggyback off that because, like Stu said, education is really the cornerstone of anything. And in business, since everything is changing so quickly, especially with AI, education is key. I don't know if you realize, SBDC, we are actually hosted by the College of Southern Maryland. And one of the reasons for that is because of the educational component. We have many no-cost services as well as educational tracks that you can learn about AI, about marketing, about how to become fundable and manage marketing. Those are all areas that we help entrepreneurs like yourselves succeed in today's marketplace. We have a lot of AI programs because right now that's a concern that many businesses have, whether it's to implement it, to understand it, how to really operate adequately in that area.
Yeah, just to add on, I think there is tremendous opportunity that is also opened by AI, right? There are challenges with the workforce. The changing landscape makes the demand for some small businesses uncertain. But what we see at DHCD is a wide range, right? We might have a developer come to us that needs gap financing, and they've been doing this for 20 years, and they know exactly what they're doing, right? Their business plan, they can write in a minute. Their finances are in order. They can give us 20 years of tax returns, right? We also get somebody who might have lost their job recently, right? They worked for the federal government or a contractor and decided, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to start a small business. And they come to us and they have a business plan written on the back of a napkin, right? And there's that education that's really lacking. And we're here to help people, right? We're a public servant. We are a government agency. But we do need to make sure that we're setting them up for success, right? That's where partnerships with folks like our CDFI partners, like SBDC, is a tremendous tool. We also are starting to offer technical assistance grants and working with folks, but the way it ties into AI really is that it lowers that barrier to entry in our experience so far. That somebody can go from, I don't know how to run a business, to I'm standing up a business in a shorter period of time because those tools exist to help them get through that initial barrier.
So all three of you have mentioned business plan in the last response. Can you maybe dig a little deeper into some of the key elements that should be seen in a business plan? And I think, James, you mentioned that you guys can help prepare it. Stu, you mentioned there's some assistance provided. Can you dig a little deeper for me, guys?
I would say a lot of people make a mistake in that they think they write a business plan just to get funding or just to take that to the bank. That is so wrong. Your business plan is a living, breathing document that is your roadmap to success. When you write your initial business plan, you're going to update that so many times as you react to things in the environment. But it's going to keep you on track. It's going to tell you who your customers are, where new customers are, what you're executing, what your funding plans are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. So you have to stay on top of those to be successful. So update your business plan. Don't write it once and done. I guarantee you it's going to best serve you for more than just getting funding.
Stu, that's so well said. Here's something that happens at SBDC when we're working with entrepreneurs, especially new ones. When we throw out the word business plan, they cringe. They literally cringe because they're not aware of what that really is. So we try to kind of modernize what that word is. Instead of business plan, we call it like a GPS plan. And they're like, what do you mean? It's a roadmap, just like you said. We bring it into terms that they understand so they can really dive in and talk more about what they love most, their business, and what they want to succeed, and what they want to do with their plan. And those are the things that we re-engineer it backwards. So, for example, I'm just going to throw Bill Hitty under the bus because Bill Hitty is a former business banker. Just like Stu mentioned, know your numbers. And a lot of business owners, and just a lot of people in general, are a little concerned about financial literacy. It's really lacking in a lot of areas, especially in business today. So we want to make sure you know your numbers. If anybody's ever watched Shark Tank, anybody hear about that show? No, you know. What are your numbers? What are you making for? What do you sell it at? That's very real, that anybody, whether it's a funding institution, whether it's an angel investor, venture capitalist, they're going to want you to know your numbers. The business plan basically communicates that in a written format to show that you know the pulse of your business. So Bill Hitty explained exactly what Stu said, that this is not just to get funded. It's something to continue your business beyond funding. When you get the funding, how are you going to use the funding? What are you going to use it for? What are your numbers? Who are you servicing? What is it that we're doing? What's the economic impact that it's going to have? And you want to be able to include partners in your plan so you could show that you've thought this through. It's not just about you. It's about you, the community, and the businesses that you're going to help support. And then that will get you the success that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think I would just add sort of the intangibles, right, to build off of what James said, that there is the business side, there is the actual numbers that are 90% often of what the underwriting is looking at, right? But oftentimes, certainly from my experience at DHCD, we're coming into a business or a project that doesn't exist, right? So really, these are all projections, right? They're estimations on revenue. Now, we can tell a story on that. We can look at the debt service. We can substantiate what the revenue will look like. But we don't have expertise in every industry that a small business exists, right? What we can do is read that business plan. And if we can understand that the entrepreneur in this case has a real command of their industry, understands the market that they're operating in, has a plan for growth, has contingency plans, it can fill some of those gaps, right? We really operate in this thin margin of we have a higher risk tolerance than a lot of private banks, but we're still using taxpayer money, right? And we're held to account for that. So there's a fine level there that we have to identify where we take that risk, and often that comes down to the individual's command of the business that they're running.
So someone mentioned that the business plan is not just for going after funding, but funding is key to starting a business. Can you talk a little bit about the typical process for funding and like how long does it take to get that funding?
Sure, that's my passion. Again, funding is available in the marketplace. However, people come up to me and say, Stu, you guys don't lend money. And I say, we lend money 24/7 to qualified applicants. So there's a qualification process that lenders are going to ask you to bring certain things to the table. We want to see some things. We want to see your previous year's tax returns. We want to see a personal financial statement. We want to see that business plan you spoke about. We want to actually see documentation that will help us determine the ability to give you funding. And I will say this, a lot of people that start a business, they go get a business partner, and don't get mad when I say this, they first go get a lawyer. Well, they go get a lawyer to get them out of trouble. But your first partner should be a CPA or bookkeeper, because they will make sure that you have your numbers when you get in front of someone like us, that we can cut through the chase. And again, if you get the right CPA or accountant, they will give you a monthly statement. If you got a bookkeeper that's just doing tax returns, get another one. And don't make the mistake of saying, I'm going to deduct everything under the sun to lower my tax bracket. You can do that, but you'll never be able to borrow. You've got to show a bottom line. Brad said something a minute ago called debt service. We as lenders look at a calculation of debt service. For every dollar of debt you want to take on, we're looking for so much in revenue, net income. Currently, the ratio is 1.2. So again, you want to prepare for the process. The typical duration time can be anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks, but that depends on you, the entrepreneur, what you bring to the table, so we can execute and advocate for you.
Stuart, you mentioned personal financial statement is one of the documents you need to submit. Can you break that down? What's included in a
Sure. Personal financial statement is a personal inventory document by which an individual lists their assets, they list their liabilities, it tells us their net worth. And of course, we want to see a positive net worth. But what that also tells us what you may have in terms of assets that'll help us mitigate loan risk that we can use as collateral.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. You need a personal financial statement for a business loan?
Yes, and you know why. because the individual is the business. So many people say, well, I don't want to stand behind my business. Well, who's running the business? You know, if something happens, who are we going to look to? So you have a stake in your business. You set me up for that one.
I set them up for that one. But that is something that some business owners are unaware of, and I agree with everything you said except one thing. and this is just, I'm going to say it, before CPA, get an SBDC consultant.
My bad.
And the reason why, everything Stu mentioned, is something that we can help you with. Everything that Stu said is 100% spot on, but I like to back it up and say, before we even get there, let's set it up properly with your consultant to learn what those documents are. We talked about a lack of financial literacy. Some people don't even know what a personal income statement is, business owners and people included. A balance sheet. Some people in this room might not know what a balance sheet is. Some people might think they know what an asset is, but it's probably really a liability, and you might not even know what those words mean. It's okay. You know your business well. Let us help you form your business into a structure that can be bankable. You'll have access to capital, and you'll be able to learn what you need. The other thing about the time it takes, and Stu, you can mention about this. Okay, so most people don't understand how long things take as a business owner with a business loan. And that could be, and I'm just making an assumption here, because maybe they've never taken out a business loan. Now, some people may have a mortgage. If anybody's taken a mortgage, they can understand how long it takes to get a mortgage, all the paperwork involved, all the approval process. Well, in a similar fashion, business loans are very much the same. So you're not going to get a loan in 24 hours. We're not going to talk about those other types of funding institutions that promise that. You really got to look at that. I'm talking about a credible funding source that you can work with. You have to understand the process, the underwriting that it takes, the documentation that's required, and all the process involved. So with our consultants, we work with the business owners to educate them about that, because everybody wants everything overnight. Amazon could deliver in an hour, the next day, whatever it is. And our world and our mind is conditioned this way. Nobody wants to wait. Everybody wants everything right away. And usually when they're looking for funding, if it's on the beginning stage, they're in trouble or they need something to solve, so their back is against the wall. So we talk to people and let them explain to them the process takes this amount of time. Sometimes it's 45 days, and other times it could be done sooner. But know that your lender has your best interests at heart. They want to give you the money. They want to help you. But you have to work with them so they can help you.
My new best friend.
I missed rehearsal. This was good.
We got to loop you in.
It's improv. I just wanted to build on that, on the timeline, because here's the truth. If you're coming to the state for financing, you probably can't go anywhere else, right? And quite frankly, we have limited funds, right? And if y'all have been watching the news where the state is right now, we're not swimming in money, right? So it's very strategic in what we're looking to do so we can catalyze businesses that otherwise may go under or can never stand up, right? That does mean that our timeline is usually longer. That's for a couple reasons. I think one, usually folks are more inexperienced, right? If they have an excellent SBDC consultant, if they have an excellent accountant, it makes everything easier, right? Because they come with their documentation. We have folks all the time, exactly that. They don't have a PFS, they have a personal financial statement. Their personal finances and their business's finances are completely entwined. And then we have to try to separate them, right? That also allows us to really spend time, though, with the individual borrower to help them in some degree, to kind of be that consultant, to reach out to other folks and our partners to say, hey, look, go talk to this person, get this in order, come back to me. I really see the potential here. You know, I think I can speak for myself, but the two of you may agree. Something I love about what I do is that we're with entrepreneurs all day, right? And entrepreneurs, by definition, like to do things, right? They move. And so there's friction sometimes on that timeline, right? But it's important that we understand that there's a need there and that we can move forward and that there is some benefit that's extracted from that process, but beyond just the financing. We usually, our target is about 45 days. Depending on where we source the money, we do need approval from an additional body at the state level called the Board of Public Works. That can add a little bit of time. So we typically suggest if somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, I need this, I need to close this an acquisition loan in 21 days, I'll tell them, I'm sorry, this is really probably not the place. Right. If you're willing to kind of work with us, if we're seeding an initial investment, that's probably the timeline we're working at, about a month and a half.
One thing I'll add, Jerry, is one of the 5 C's of credit that I said I wasn't going to say, but there's one big C, that's credit. You want to be transparent with a funding source. If you've had some challenges, talk about those. Please don't let us find that out as we go down the road. And I will tell you, some banks require a very high credit score to even get started, almost 700. We at FSC First, shameless plug, we're not a credit score lender. We understand things can happen to folks in life. We look at your credit report to see if you've overcome any difficulties you've had in the past. I'm pleased to say that we made loans to business owners with credit scores in the 400, and they paid back every dime because we're a prudent lender.
If I could actually just quickly. If I could just build on that quickly, just to make folks aware of a product that we have, that we work with Stu on, is the federal, we call it SSBCI, it's the State Small Business Credit Initiative Program. That is really focused, exactly what Stu's talking about this, on folks with either a poor credit history or an absence of credit history to help them access funds. The state receives an allocation of that. We split that between the Department of Housing and Community Development, our Department of Commerce, and TEDCO, which is like our state-based venture capital firm for tech businesses, right? We split that up. There's also some money that goes to SBDC for technical assistance. That does not flow to the state. That's a separate process. In that, we can be much more flexible with the credit score because that's the intention of the money. That has to have a one-to-one private capital match. So if somebody has had an event in their past that makes it difficult to acquire capital, if they're coming to us and their credit score isn't quite there, but their business plan is solid and their numbers look good, it allows us to be a lot more flexible with that money to leverage additional private capital. So just wanted to plug that for folks in the room.
Also, if I could piggyback off of that, because you mentioned something really important, financial literacy is an area, and in partnership with TEDCO, your SBDC down here in Southern Maryland, we will be launching our financial literacy program, where we'll be doing it in each county, Calvert, Charleston, St. Mary's counties, in a cohort basis to teach you and train you how to work with your credit score so you can become fundable, and that's what we'll be doing with financial literacy, so you'll understand and be educated on these items.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's very, very important information. Two-part question. Are there any business entities that are difficult to fund? And the second part is, what situations make access to capital challenging?
I'm always first.
I can start on the difficult.
Yes, businesses that present challenges for some institutions, but it's not a total knockout, are not-for-profits. Not-for-profits are a specialized entity that, while my organization will not fund not-for-profits, we have banking partners that we can refer not-for-profit businesses to, or we can get creative and say, well, we'll let you form an LLC, of which the not-for-profit would be a division of that would fund up to that. But not-for-profits is something that we do not directly do. And, yeah, go.
Yeah, so just to plug then, we'll do nonprofits, but I couldn't agree more. They are very difficult, right? Their finances are it takes a different type of analysis, right, to get under. I will say, I mentioned earlier that since I've come on board, we've really put a focus on fresh food access. It might be grocery stores, it might be a bodega, and childcare. I'm very lucky that my boss gives me a long leash, because I think when I told folks that, they were like, that's a tough business. What are you doing with our money? Those are very low margin industries, right? In my view, that's why government should be stepping in, right? Our affordability is not going to get better with childcare unless we add suppliers to the market. We often have folks who maybe worked in childcare for a long time, and now they see an opportunity to start. And there is a lot of opportunity because the demand is overwhelming for childcare right now, right? We'll step in, and they might have a 1-2% profit margin. These things are tight. So when we start talking about debt service coverage ratio that we mentioned before, when we look at the cash flow, it can be really difficult. That can elongate that timeline. But we, I think are usually better by the end of it because we can work very, very closely. But short answer, those low margin industries.
So I've heard mention of bookkeeper, accountant. Haven't heard anybody mention like platforms like QuickBooks. Can we just kind of talk about the accounting process and like where do you start? What are some good best practices?
So with respect to, thank you. I think, Brett, you mentioned about intermingling of funds. And that is something that a lot of small business owners, especially in the beginning when they get started, they don't understand the importance of separating personal and business expenses and income. And that's real problematic for several reasons. Funding institutions is one of them, but the three-letter word called IRS, you don't want them calling you because they're going to take all that and consider it personal income, regardless where it's coming from. So you want to make sure you have that separation of funds, and you want to be able to manage that. We have people that come to us and they have a shoebox of receipts. They have no system. They have no understanding, and that happens a lot. A lot of times in trades, not to point one business sector out, that happens a lot, or anybody who's really, really good at what they do, but all the other stuff for the management and processes, they don't have anything set up. And we take them through our initial no-cost consultation to talk to business owners about what you need to have in systems in your business. Anybody into book reading here, the E-Myth? Anybody here, the E-Myth? Gerber? All right. E-Myth, it's actually a new book, E-Myth Revisited. It's a great short read. It's like 92 pages. And what that talks about is systematizing your business. I would encourage you to read it because what it talks about is doing things in your business on a systematic basis, just like the Amazons of the world. Everybody thinks they can't mimic a system like that. You can. It's just at a different scale. So with regard to QuickBooks, whether it's QuickBooks or one of the things that we do, spreadsheets, an old-fashioned way of using Excel spreadsheets, we actually mimic what the IRS includes for an LLC. It's a Schedule C, which is literally the same schedule that you attach in your documentation for your taxes. You can use that, and we have a template that we share with business owners if they don't have anything, so they can go ahead without any costs involved, because with QuickBooks, there are costs involved. There might be an education or a learning curve. So depending on the person, depending on the business, and depending on what it is, we have several different templates that you can work from. That's one of them, but we encourage, highly encourage, a system for being able to keep that accounting in place. Or if you are at the point with your business where you can afford a bookkeeper or an accountant, you can do that. But what I tell business owners, and I tell this from the heart, because we hear stories where the business owner isn't involved with their bookkeeping, and then all of a sudden they're like, I thought I was profitable. I thought I was making money. Well, you thought and what you inspected are two different things, because now your bookkeeper is pocketing the money and you may not know that. And the way you would know that is if you understood your books and the money and the revenue and your expenses, and if you did it yourself first, and then apply a system, and then oversee a bookkeeper just because. I don't trust anybody. I'd rather do it myself, and I think you should also have that same technique with your business.
Lesson learned. If you run a business, don't give anyone access to your checking account or credit cards or debit cards. One thing I would say, though, when we talked about bookkeeping, how many entrepreneurs in the room are contractors? That means you sell a product or service over time, and you get paid later for it. Did any more hands go up? So what's critical for you is that you've got to be on top of what we call accounts receivable. You want to be able to show how you're getting paid on a 30, 60, 90-day level so we can actually show the strength if we're going to advocate credit for you.
Yeah, just a quick thing to add is I couldn't agree more with things said here. The worst part that we see, the applications that come in, is an excellent business and an excellent entrepreneur who made early mistakes, and they come in with significant debt. And there's really no way that we can identify to give them the capital they may need to build out to where they're profitable and they're really paying this down. And that, in that case, they really need, non-debt equity pumped into the business. In some case, they may be looking for some sort of bankruptcy action, right? And so I could not recommend enough SBDC.
There we go. I agree.
Well, I've monopolized all the questions. I want to give an opportunity for audience members to ask questions of the panel. Please raise your hand if you have some questions. No questions?
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, here we go. I'll get a microphone coming.
Can you talk about, I run a business in the agricultural sector, Can you talk about how you're focused on the economic development side of the agricultural industry? Farms have some unique economics, and sometimes it's, challenging. So I've had experiences where, I'm talking to, Farm Credit, and they're like, tell me about your job. It's like, yeah, my job is to be a farmer, sorry, So can you talk a little bit about sort of how you overcome some of those sort of mental challenges on the lending side?
Real quick, thank you for being a farmer. We need more farmers. There are incredible incentives that we get from state agencies to fund farming, agriculture, rural operations. So I would challenge you to make sure you're talking to people that get that outside funding to bring that to the table. But we look at a lot of factors. We want to understand your crop rotation. We want to understand the livestock that you're actually raising. But we want to understand the number of jobs you're bringing to the table. We want to see how your operations impact the tax basis of your location. All of those things will take you as a farmer to the next level of success when you get in front of a financier or a banker that knows what he or she is doing in the agriculture space.
Also, if I could say, I would encourage you to meet with one of our SBDC consultants because to help with what Stu's saying, but also, right now, agriculture and rural development is a big initiative of the administration, as is manufacturing. So if we're able to see what your operation is doing, see if we could formulate it, and depending on what avenue it's going in and what help you may need, you may qualify for manufacturing status with your NAICS code, and you may be able to establish a business as a manufacturer, which right now, there are significant opportunities available to you. So I think it would be evaluating your current business as to what you're doing, where you're doing it, the impact that you're having, and then scaling it to depending on the direction you'd like to pursue.
Some of the things that farmers need, heavy equipment to run their operations, today you can fund heavy equipment at less than 6% for fixed rates up to 25 years. So just keep that in your toolbox.
Yeah, I would just add, I think there is quite a bit of assistance that the state provides, whether they get that from the federal government and their pass-through or state designated programs. I'd actually love to connect afterwards to kind of hear specifically in your case. I mentioned the Fresh Food Initiative earlier. We've been working closely with the Maryland Department of Agriculture on that. Particularly with this administration, there's been that broader focus on the Rural Health Initiative that often ties into things like fresh food access, which ties directly to farmers. Right, the Department of Agriculture here has some really excellent programs that help provide the direct financing either to the retailer or the farmer for sourcing to sale Maryland fisheries or Maryland farmers, right? And so as part of our initiative on food deserts, we've been working closely with the Department of Agriculture to enter into some co-lending and co-award agreements on that front. It's something that I can tell you there was a lot of interest in the space for building up. And I think part of the issue often that I've heard to date, and I'd be interested in your experience when we chat later, is folks just don't know what's available. And look, I'll say, I've worked for the state 9 years now. I spent the last 3 years in the governor's office before coming to my current position. Something that we need to make up on, and the state has not historically done a great job on, is making everybody aware of what we have. And so I think part of that outreach mechanism, the tools are probably there. We may need to know what we don't know, but it's really getting that communication out. So we'd love to chat with you a bit.
And Molly Meehan, you're still in the room, right? Molly? Awesome. Any other questions?
Right here.
Hi, my name is Earl Stevens. I work with Me Time Psychiatry, and I'm just wondering how difficult is it to fund mental health businesses?
Go for it. Go for it.
Again, we would go back to the basics with that. Right now, there's such a high demand for your business, as you know. what we would evaluate as a SBDC consultancy is review your business and having a structured plan. It gets back to the business plan and then what we would have available to you working with partners. I want to just touch on something Brad said is about knowing what's available to you. You as the business owner know your business really well. You may not know what's available to you, seeking funding, resources, opportunities, and that's why you're here today. I spoke to a business owner first thing when he got here. I don't even know if he's still here because he got to attend to his business. He didn't know about SBDC. He didn't know anything about this meeting. He just saw it yesterday and he said, I had to be here. And we connected and he said, I never knew such a thing existed. What can I do? How can we connect moving forward? So by being here, you're asking the question, connecting with people, seeing the resources that are available to you, and those are the ways that you would have to fund your business. It's looking to structure it and making sure that it's sound to be able to be bankable.
I would say you want to talk to one of us, come to the table with your honest elevator speech, where you are, what you need, and tell us your timeline so we can advocate. And that's what we do. We advocate for you. I don't have individual loan authority. I used to have it, but I need to believe enough in you that I can take your request to the powers that be to say, I think this will be a good credit for us to do.
One last question.
Hi, how you doing? You did a really good job with explaining like some of the things whenever it comes to like going out and trying to get lending on the need of a personal financial statement, taxes from prior years, things of that balance sheet, things of that nature. What about a business that's starting from ideology? They have their business plan in place, they have the ideology in place and trying to enter the market for, let's say, something like a juice shop or a bodega, as mentioned earlier. How does that look like to enter market? It still takes some of that same financial support. So
you were asking about a pre-revenue business?
correct.
There is funding for pre-revenue. Everyone heard the name TEDCO earlier in the meeting. TEDCO looks at those opportunities. Some of the pre-revenue businesses, quite honestly, need investors to step in because as lenders, if we lend money, we want to get paid in 30 days. And if you're not producing revenue, that would make it impossible for us. So look at organizations like TEDCO or the investors to actually help you get what you need to operate your business.
Yeah, I would just add, it's a tricky area, right? And particularly from a lending point of view, you can't get much riskier than something that's completely pre-revenue, right? And I see it as part of my job. If we aren't confident that this loan is going to get repaid, we are doing a disservice to the borrower, much more than even the fiduciary responsibility that we have, because there is collateral and there's a guarantee on these loans, right? What, prior to my joining the department, something that's now under me, Secretary Day had launched a program. It's a grant program called Business Boost. And the fundamental idea of that program is to provide smaller grants, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars here, to help somebody get through those initial barriers, right? These are grants. You don't owe the money back as long as you spent it the way you said you were going to spend it. Everything is okay. To kind of get to that next phase. Okay, now we have a little bit of revenue. Now we can show that and try to leverage it into private capital. And maybe it's feeding us, right? It's coming right back in. When I mentioned the kind of Food Desert and Fresh Food Initiative, we've changed that a little bit this year, just given some need in communities targeted directly at those that provide fresh food access. That might be a bodega, right, that is starting up for the first time. I think we're going to see how it goes, right? This has a mixed success rate. And I think in tight financial times, you know, we're under more pressure to show what does this turn into. And I think it's a growing challenge that we're grappling with.
Brad made a very, very good comment there, and I just want to piggyback on that. Grants are available. We're living in a soft economy. Anyone disagree with that? So I'm confident that the politicians will find a way to support small businesses. With that being said, constituents are going to demand more grant funding. So I will tell each and every one of you to look at the local, state, municipal government jurisdictions you live in. Google the word grants. you will see them coming up more and more and more often. So be aware that they do exist, but you got to look for those.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Our time has come to a close. Really appreciate what you've said. Very valuable information.
So I didn't lie to you up front. I said, we're going to bring in panelists that provide value. It's so great to hear sort of the X's and O's when you talk about lending, and I know for some of the businesses in here today, sort of demystify some of that. As the panelists said, there are opportunities here. We encourage you to get engaged. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We will get you connected. So next, it is my honor to introduce Andrew Roud, our regional partner for Southern Maryland at St. John Properties. Very grateful for St. John's Properties. They are our breakfast sponsor here this morning for today's fall meeting. And Andrew, thank you for the support. The reason why we have Andrew here today is we want him to talk about the Berry Point project here in Waldorf, which is set to become the largest flex office research and development project in Charles County. So welcome to the stage, Andrew Roud.
Hey, good morning. Thank you. It's great to be here, and thanks for the opportunity to give you a little chat. September 24, about 11 months ago or so, we broke ground at Berry Point. A little bit about St. John quickly. We're based in Baltimore. I run the office out of Bowie. We're Southern Maryland, which includes Prince George's, Charles, St. Mary's, and now Wacomico counties. We're in 11 states, 16 offices, roughly 25 million square feet in building. When we're finished here in Waldorf, that'll be an additional 690,000 square feet. We're about 5 billion in cap value. So a little bit about Berry Point. We started in 2020. I think I was on a panel here in 2022. Ann Hooper was with me on it. The first phase of what you're looking at along Berry Road is 162,000 square feet. When it's up and running, it'll be about 695 jobs with only $500,000 in tax revenue towards the county and property tax. But when it's stabilized, it'll be 634,000 square feet, 2,100 jobs, and about $1.5 million in property tax. That's what it'll produce. Right now, we'll probably open it at the end of November, end of the month, and we do have one lease signed already with Chesapeake Potomac Regional Cancer Center for 11,000 square feet, and we're very close, we think, to a daycare of an additional 10,000 square feet. Just down the road to the west, on the other side of the highway, we have a project called Sunstone. That will include 2 flex buildings and 2 pad buildings. And that's at Middletown Road and 228. I'd just like to thank the county. They've been just wonderful. We've been here, like I said, for a few years. Very welcoming. I'm Canadian. We're known to be friendly and happy. I'm extremely grumpy. I was on a panel last week with BizNow up in Prince George's County, and this was before we found out the planning board is not even constituted right now. Has anyone read about that? That Prince George's County, Maryland doesn't have a planning board at the moment? It's unbelievable. So we made the right bet. I'm glad to be here. I'm not grumpy anymore. The AADB has been a wonderful group. Ann Hooper, is Ann in the room? Where's Ann? There you are. Thank you. She chairs that and was kind enough to invite me to be on the EADB, the Economic Advisory Board. Sue Greer, our attorney, she's led us through everything down here, and it's been, I have to say, it's been relatively painless, which is nice to say. I'd like to thank the commissioners. They've been great. They got us here. Staff, Jason Groth, the Economic Development Department, all your help. And finally, I'd like to introduce Eric Llewellyn. and Colleen Villar. Eric and Colleen will be the leasing team for Berry Point. So thank you for everything you guys have done.
So our second panel is entitled Partnerships of Innovation, the Western Technology Corridor. From defense and energetics research to energizing startups, the Western Technology Corridor is built on collaboration. It's where federal facilities, private industry, and local entrepreneurs collaborate, fueling innovation, driving growth, and creating opportunities that reach every corner of Charles County and the state of Maryland. So let's talk about it. Joining this conversation is Pam Frank, Executive Director of the Military Alliance Council, Dr. Philip Strassner, Vice President of Operations and Global Facility Solutions at Crossbow, and Dawood Abdur-Raham, Chair of the Bryans Road Business Association. To lead this discussion, please join me in welcoming Economic Development Department's Senior Commercial Development Manager and moderator for this second panel, Paul Rupert.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome up the panel. I'm really excited to be here again. My name is Paul Rupert. Come on up. I'm the Senior Commercial Development Manager for Charles County, the Department of Economic Development. I'm new to this position. I was brought on to support businesses on the western side of the county and to support businesses who want to come to the western part of the county. So we have a series of questions today to ask our panel. I'll be asking them, and then hopefully there'll be a few minutes afterwards at the end for anyone in the audience to ask questions. So I'm going to start with a question for all three folks. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Really excited to be here where we're focusing on Indian Head, Bryans Road, and the Maryland Airport. Those are the three nodes of the Western Charles County Technology Corridor. And so the question I'm going to ask, I'll pose for all three to introduce themselves. We can start with Dawood. So tell us briefly about your organization and how you are connected to the Western Charles County Technology Corridor. And we'll start Dawood, then Pam, and then Phil.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dawood Abdur-Rahman, and I chair the Bryans Road Business Association. The Bryans Road Business Association was started in the fall of 2022. I do want to acknowledge that by the time I've stumbled across the group that started the Bryans Road Business Association, they were kind of moving along, and I want to give credit to Lori Wheeler, formerly of Body Oasis, Ms. Gloria Jolly of the Bryans Road Business Association, Tisha McFarland and her husband, Honey Bun Cake Factory, George Goomis, formerly of Geo's and Mama Stella's, and Patrick McGinnis of High Noon. So it's a Bryans Road Business Association is a 501c6 organization. It's a nonprofit. It's an apolitical, meaning non-political organization, and our relationship to the technology corridor is that the technology corridor runs through the town center of Bryans Road, and our real intent is to advocate for intentional investment in Bryans Road to stimulate the business community there and surrounding area. Thank you.
Pam?
Good morning. I'm Pam Frank, and I'm the Executive Director of the Charles County Military Alliance Council, lovingly known as the MAC. The MAC's job is to be an advocate for the installation and for the community. We are partially supported by Maryland Department of Commerce out of their Office of Military and Federal Affairs. We are one of 8 major alliances in the state of Maryland, which include Meade, Dietrich, Andrews, PAX, Carter Rock, Aberdeen, and the new space agency in Greenbelt. So our mission is to be laser focused on the installation, its impact on our community, and on the county.
Thank you. Phil?
Good morning. Phil Strassner. I'm Vice President in Operations and Global Facility Solutions at Crossbow. Crossbow is a modern startup venture capital-backed defense contractor. We specialize in energetics production, defense contracts regarding missile systems, things like that. We are in this corridor because we have a public-private partnership with NSWC Indian Head. And that's an important part for us because if you look at all the new startups in the industry right now, what you see is a threshold of credibility distinction between what's out there. And what gives us our threshold of credibility is all of our partnerships we form. We have one with NSWC Warhead, NSWC Indian Head, and we also have one with the EMRTC that's out in New Mexico. So it gives us the ability to do stuff that startups can't do without those partners. And so it's very important for us to have these partnerships.
Thank you, Phil. Pam, my first question is for you. The Military Alliance Council serves as a bridge between military installations and the private sector. What are some of the partnerships that the MAC has facilitated, and what are the most critical ingredients for building successful partnerships between federal facilities like Indian Head and commercial enterprises?
There's a reason I'm on this panel, not only because I'm sandwiched in between these two handsome men, I'm the oldest. So this is not the county's first rodeo in trying to develop and create this. There are not as many people that there used to be in these audiences that have worked tirelessly to get the airport going, to get the western part of the county developed, and to create a better environment for our businesses, to get more back since the 80s. But I was born and raised here. My father's family is from Bryan's Road. My mother is from Indian Head. And so I've seen this evolution, and I've got to tell you, I've never been more excited than right now, because all these partnerships are producing what this revitalization is about. And it's just a wonderful thing to see. So partnerships, they come from all kinds of people, all kinds of areas. We work definitely with the federal, the state, the local, the regional partnership with the representatives, We work with industry. We work with the College of Southern Maryland. We work with Tri-County Council. We work with the public school. We work with tons. You just don't know where it's going to come from. And the one thing that Secretary Wu said is, I love that we can't do this alone. We have to have these partnerships. We have to find the common ground. And so it's important that we have communication with our partners, that we're all on the same page. We can't let personal agendas. One of the other things that has been so unique to this is there is a common goal. It's never seemed stronger than I've seen. I think it's worthy. Everybody's got to be on the same page. And we have to listen to what our federal partners say to us, what the installation says to us. We may have an idea what we think we should do for them, what we think should do. They need to tell us in honesty. They need to respect us. We need to respect them. We need to not have a personal agenda. We need to do what's right for our installation. And those partnerships are all part of a national security theme, a big, important thing that not enough of our community understands, the national security. So the partnership has to be strong, and it has to be respectful, and it has to have open communications.
Thank you, Pam. Phil, your organization, Crossbow Systems, represents the innovative private sector in the tech corridor. When you're evaluating potential partnerships, whether with federal research facilities, universities, or other companies, what are you looking for? And can you share a specific example of a partnership that opened doors you couldn't have opened alone?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're looking for just what we found here at Indian Head. I mean, the local area here was in need of a partner. You could tell that the way the government facility was being run there needed an influence, and just like we needed them. So we're looking for that potential growth opportunity. We're looking for a community that we can be part of, that we can draw our resources from. And so, like Pam was saying, national security, that's a big part of this. National security investment should drive local prosperity. So we want to be able to drive that local area, be part of the community, pull our resources from the community, stimulate the local economy, be in that local economy. We opened an office here at Indian Head for that reason, so we could start staffing here, bringing those people here, have a presence here. And the doors that unlock for us are obviously government contracts. I mean, we're looking to broaden the industrial manufacturing base, which is severely impeded right now. We are far behind our competitors in other countries, and we have that here. I mean, Indian Head has been open for over 100 years, and there's a possibility that we could make it the center of excellence for the Navy, which is the Navy's desire. We want to be part of that. We want to drive that innovation. We want to see that prosperity, and we want to partner with that. And those are the types of partnerships we're looking for.
Great, thank you so much. Dawood, the next question is for you. What are the most important objectives of the Bryans Road Business Association, and how does the Bryans Road Business Association foster partnerships within the organization?
We have many goals. I think the overarching goal is really we want to, and we have been advocating and promoting businesses and working with organizations and individuals that are interested in sustained development in Bryans Road. We really want to leverage and highlight the fact that Bryans Road includes the historic, the Pamunkey Historic District, which has the first black high school in Charles County. And we really want to, we're working with the elected officials, we work with the Economic Development Office quite a bit, actually, especially during Business Week, and for the businesses in the Bryans Road area to really network and really make sure that there is a specific and intentional effort to try to look at Bryans Road. What we do find is that sometimes there's an effort with Western Charles County generally, and that the Bryans Road specific interests are sometimes not focused on. So we want to be available and facilitate communication and information so that intentional, specific investment and development in Bryans Road happens along with Indian Head and the rest of Western Charles County.
Thank you. Pam, let's talk a little bit about the future. What are some potential opportunities for the MAC to facilitate partnerships between military installations, contractors, and the broader business community? What are you looking forward as we move forward?
Well, I think all of us in business have heard over and over again the challenges that we have. For example, workforce, skilled labor, not all different kinds of labor. When somebody quit a six-figure job to work at Starbucks, I was just like, you could pick my mouth off the floor. But that's what we need to deal with. We have a different generation, and they have different things. So the MAC can help identify what the needs are by the businesses and by also the installation, and we can assist in developing that pipeline by working with the College of Southern Maryland, with the public school system, with organizations like TPP that did Workforce 30, and things like that. So we can help in that way. We also, we can help writing grants. We secured funding for this building. We secured funding for the USBTA building. We secured funding for the grocery store. We can help businesses develop and write grants so you can get this funding. And I think Brad, when he talked from DHCD, he talked about it. I think there were several things that you guys can take away from meeting challenges and what the future needs are going to be. So another thing is amenities. Amenities, we need amenities in this area. And so, working with restaurants, working, giving incentives, looking at grants that could bring in something like that. That's where I see us being able to identify from the communication and the partnership partners what their needs are, and we can come up with creative ways that maybe lots of other people can't. Let's just say that.
Phil, let's talk energetics. Energetics and advanced manufacturing are complex, highly regulated fields. How do partnerships help you navigate challenges and accelerate innovation? Are there examples where collaboration led to unexpected breakthroughs or applications?
That's a really good question. For us, I think the partnership has really helped us. The existing infrastructure was already here at Indian Head. There's an existing model that already worked, and all we had to do is sort of staff that and write procedures that were already sort of established, but just revisit those from our perspective, from a new perspective, from an advanced manufacturing perspective. A lot of the things I've seen in the industry, my former job, I was at Aerojet Rocketdyne for 22 years. Big thing that we did there was collect data and never use it. And I think that was because we were limited in the tools. And I think the Navy also does that as part of what I've seen over the years of my experience. So now we have this opportunity to take these AI tools, and that was something that I did not expect to see in this industry. We can take all the data that we've collected over the years and use AI, machine learning models, language models, to come up with better solutions, faster solutions, and not make the same mistakes, so we can innovate on that. One of the things we've done with advanced manufacturing is we've looked at where we've seen defects occur and pull that data out, and you can actually right into your procedures to have preventive measures in order to reduce the defects just from previous data. And that sounds so simple, but it was never really being used, and that's what we are doing now. And so having those already established manufacturing platforms that these partners have, like the Indian Head has and EMRTC out in New Mexico for us have, it basically allows us to look at that existing model and better it with today's technology. And that's been a big, big thing for us.
Great, excellent. Dawood, what are the biggest opportunities that you see for Bryan's Road within the Western Charles County Technology Corridor? And are there opportunities for expanded partnerships?
I think there are. I think short term, I think of the technology corridor as a branding and marketing effort and opportunity. And just to remind people that Bryan's Road, and it's been said several times this morning, Bryan's Road is probably the northernmost hub of the technology corridor. So as the branding and the street signs, I'm looking at George Clark now, the street signs and the road signs for the technology corridor are actually coordinated through Maryland Transportation, include Bryan's Road in that branding as well, because that's where when you come down 210, you hit Bryan's Road first. That's kind of the short term. Long term, medium and long term, I'll kind of want to read a quote from the recently approved Bryan's Road sub-area plan. That was a plan that I think we've all acknowledged that there have been some missteps in terms of community engagement and outreach. There was the perennial battle and debate between conservation and development in Bryan's Road, but at the end of the debate, and even as people were sort of opposing various aspects of the plan, in Bryan's Road, you always kind of come to, we need recreational facilities, we need a meeting place, we need a specific thing in Bryan's Road. And the first big idea from that plan was Western Charles County needs a hub for community connections, enrichment, and engagement of people of all ages and walks of life. A multi-generational community facility can breathe life into the Bryan's Road commercial area. With a library at its core, the facility could also provide access to technology, a senior center, some recreational activities, and access to public services, and breathe life into the town center area. Multi-generational facilities are becoming the norm across the country. This is not only because it's more cost-effective to build, operate, and maintain one place, but because they build trust within communities as a neutral and visible space that is accessible to all. With services that span from early morning through the late into the evening, a multi-generational facility also brings foot traffic that strengthens the market for amenities, restaurants, and retail in the town center area. So we need the same kind of, I think, creative thinking that the county has put forward as they've developed, or they're developing the sports and wellness complex in Waldorf, and I think that will help with the foot traffic issue, and it'll actually demonstrate that the county is investing in Bryan's Road consistent with its designation as a priority funding area and a development district. So this is the latest kind of study that had this kind of proposal, but the same kind of analysis was included in a 2020 internal Economic Development Office report that said that Bryan's Road was really prime for this kind of civic use. And in our I kind of applaud the recent effort by the county for a community collaborative improvement project. This was also one of the proposals. So long term, it's really building on this designation, making sure this branded Bryan's Road is in the discussion, but also begin to actually activate Bryan's Road even as you're moving to a longer term solution, so that, you know, this kind of Indian Head, Bryan's Road corridor, you know, as we focus on one, we're bringing both areas up at the same time, because the way we run the danger of creating kind of an island, you know, one island, the island of Bryan's Road and the island of Indian Head, you know, but we want the entire corridor, technology corridor, to be developed. So.
I love how you connect that business to community, because clearly it's supporting all these things. It's not just doing one thing at a time, but everything's interrelated. This question is for anyone on the panel. For businesses and organizations that are located outside of the technology corridor, how do you see the development of the corridor positively impacting those businesses? Are there ways for those businesses outside the corridor to engage with any of your organizations? Who would like to take a first stab at that, Pam? Yeah, great.
I think that the creation of, well, what's happening in Indian Head and Bryan's Road in the western part of the county, I think it's creating its own kind of ecosystem, and I hate that word, but it seems most appropriate now. For example, Waldorf has its ecosystem. La Plata has its ecosystem. It has its pros and has the opportunities and the amenities in place. Well, Indian Head is just starting that right now. So we're developing it, and with these partnerships, we'll get more input, and, you know, we may be creating our own unique tourism, see how things happen when it's planned correctly, when you have a group collaborating. I mean, I think that it just will create its own ecosystem.
Great.
Yeah, I would just add, you know, it was interesting to me talking to some people when I first started coming out to Indian Head, how a lot of folks don't know what happens on the Indian Head facility. Energetics manufacturing is not a common process throughout the United States. There are very few sites that are approved to do what Indian Head does. And so, to me, I see that as an opportunity. I know you said you hate this, but there is an ecosystem there. Indian Head's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So if the more we can reestablish that facility, the more we can drive the local economy with regard to STEM education for new type jobs and new type of technology. There will be specialized fields that develop there as we advance technology at that facility. The government is very eager to determine new types of warheads, new types of munitions. So that will create jobs for folks. And obviously, if we can bring that in locally, that would be stimulating even the local economy, the local schools. I think modernizing legacy energetics facilities is a national defense imperative. Those, like I said, those sites are not common. My company is trying to set up an energetic site in Texas, and we thought we'd be done in 18 months, and it's year 6 of Crossbow, and the facility is not done, and we're already making stuff at Indian Head. So it's just it's a process that is not easily repeated, and it's a commodity that we really need to put an investment, both people and money and time, into that facility to bring it back to par for our national defense.
Would anything to add to that?
I'll just say that, once again, I just see this as an opportunity. The technology corridor kind of bifurcates the Bryans Road Town Center area. So the marketing and kind of coordinating with the local government and other businesses that are located to the area only helps to bring attention to Bryans Road and helps with branding. I'll just say that I've gotten used to saying that there's like the riddle of Bryans Road, you know, and one of the things that the group that started, that became the Bryans Road Business Association really advocated for was branding. That's why there's a sign that says, "Welcome to Bryans Road." Like, you didn't know you were in Bryans Road when you were in Bryans Road. And anyone who's tried to explain where Bryans Road is it a road? Is it a town? Where is Bryans Road? You know, but we've all kind of gone through that. There's the need for this kind of branding and leveraging. I think the technology corridor keeps that in the mix, and bringing in, having more activities in Bryans Road, I think helps with the businesses and helps with the foot traffic issue.
Can I follow up with one more thing? It's kind of what both guys are talking about. Community, STEM, future. What we've got to do is we've got to engage our community. We've got to engage our kids. This is a unique, again, ecosystem, a lot of exciting things going on, and we need to engage our kids around here. The Velocity Center does some great activities with kids. We need to encourage more of that. We need to start earlier. We need to start getting these kids involved and interested in, invested in what's happening in this area.
Yeah, I had a note about that, about investing early and build your talent locally, and that might help folks not want to go quit their job and go to Starbucks because they're interested in building rockets, you know.
Right. Well, we have great partners in the room. We have folks from the Charles County Public Schools, their CTE program, who's really strong partners, I know. We have, of course, we're in the College of Southern Maryland's facility here, and we have a number of those folks here. Dr. Wilson was here earlier. I know that's critically important as we look from the economic development standpoint, how do we move forward in developing jobs here in the county so that residents of the county stay and work here. That's really important. The final question that I have written down, and then we can open it up for questions from the audience, is a future-looking question. What emerging opportunities do you see for deepening partnerships in the corridor over the next 3 to 5 years? So it's very simple, straightforward. What can we do in this kind of short 3 to 5 year time frame? You're working on things now. How do you see them developing over this next period of time?
Yeah, one of the things I definitely see is the Western Corridor is essentially a launch pad for small businesses. So if you have an idea that can attract folks to the area, that's a big thing that I think my company is looking at how we can do. What can we put in place? You know, it'd be great if there was a hotel. I was talking to some folks earlier about that. I know that's not a small business, but what can we do to get that level of attention to this area so that when we are coming out here to support the area, I have staff that has somewhere to stay. Even though we want to bring local people here, I still have, my company is globally enterprise, so we're everywhere. And I think that's a big thing. Another thing is just the infrastructure, upgrades to anything that currently exists, that ecosystem we were talking about, just the general growth of the area, I think is a focus that has to be, and I think that's already what we're doing, but just continue pushing on that. Like I said, because I think this is a launch pad of new businesses, small businesses that are going to come. You're going to see things that you've never seen in the area before because the staff and the jobs are going to grow and everything comes along with that. So.
I agree. I think that and again, I'll go back to the amenities because it's like the chicken and egg question, but nonetheless, the fact is we need amenities and we need our community to support these amenities. For example, you guys, I know that a lot of you aren't from here. Take a trip on top of the hill to the grocery store. You need to see it. You need to know that that is a company that believed and is taking a risk, and it needs to be supported. And our communities need to support our amenities and businesses.
Dawood?
I'll say, once again, activation, just before you even have to do the big dollar things with regard to the infrastructure and more facilities, activation, more involvement, specific programming that's happening in the area generally, in Bryan's Road specifically, consistent branding and messaging. Support. We, the Bryan's Road Business Association, partner with the Canopy Group. The market manager is here, and the Loving Kindness LLC, which is a community development corporation, nonprofit under the Master Child Church, to start a farmers market. We are hoping, and I applaud Madeline and Mark Steele. I said we agree they get the highest place in heaven, probably, you know, for their entrepreneurial skill and grit and everything that they're demonstrating. And farmers markets are a way to, they're small business incubators. So our hope is that as we continue to grow the farmers markets in Bryan's Road, that we'll see entrepreneurs then continue to grow and farmers from there as well.
And the farmers market is when?
The farmers market, we just ended this season, know, but it'll pick up again next May. Yeah, pick up again next May. You know, the market season over, but it'll pick up again next May. Frequent the small businesses. When I was listening to the earlier panel, Kevin Hilton, who's one of our members of and the branch manager at the West Banco, and Alyssa Harley is here from Shore United. They've said more than one time they really wish someone had come in and taken advantage of the consulting advice that are provided by those institutions before you started your business and before you ran up your credit cards and before you work on your business plan. So I would just say come in, spread the word, and work with the infrastructure that's there as we move to a more developed Western Charles County.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was just out last week with our CEO, and one of the things I was talking to him about was a conversation I had with the technical director of Indian Head a couple weeks ago about how do we engage the community, how do we engage Indian Head, how do we engage locally. And we're talking about possibly sponsoring some sort of collaboration fair where we have, we bring a barbecue food truck or something and just get some knowledge out to what's happening on base and what we're doing on base, what other partners are doing on base, sort of like this, but with the community. And obviously everyone loves food, probably some beer, something like that, get someone out involved, but just have booths where we can go around and educate, who's here. There's a lot of partners. I mean, the USBTA building that we're in, we have several partners in there, ARA, USBTA, all the other folks that are in there. So it's getting that word out. And how can we do that? I mean, that'd be something we'll be interested in sponsoring.
Great. Thank you. So now's an opportunity. Oh, Pam, go ahead. Yep.
I'm going to do a shameless plug myself.
That's good.
Okay, so this year is the MAC's 10th anniversary, and so next Thursday, after our annual meeting, we are hosting the Chamber Mixer at USBTA, and we're going to have a pig roast. So we would love for you guys to come. Put it on your calendar. Just let me know. RSVP. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you. So opportunity now, if there are any questions in the audience, we have a couple of staff members who have microphones. So we've got a question here. Thank you.
Thank you, panel, and thank you, Paul. This has been a wonderfully educating day for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has learned a lot about Charles County and its pros and cons. But let me tell you, we have run this farmers market in Bryan's Road. My company, Canopy, has actually done 3 farmers markets in Charles County this past year. We could be anywhere in the state. We are focusing on Charles County. Unlike a lot of farmers markets, we don't go into an urban area. I look for food deserts. So we are trying to manage a situation that's difficult, because when you're in a food desert, there's a reason it's a food desert. Usually it's a population dearth or a financial problem to support a major supermarket. Oasis is doing a fantastic job. That's just the tip of the iceberg. My question is related to a situation we have just gone through with our farmers market in terms of our location. We were trying to find a more appropriate place than just a church front yard to do the farmers market. We searched and searched. We had a business that has offered us a location for next year, but I was on the county's website, and I know I'll get to the question right now. I was on the county website looking at, well, what about county parks? Maybe we could go into a park space. I found 21 different parks and recreation sites, facilities listed on the website. I don't know if that's up to date or whatever. Looking for one in the Bryan's Road area. I found 11 out of 21 in Waldorf, a couple in La Plata. There's one in Bryan's Road where the library is located. So my question is, can we please get some support from the county to help us identify a site along the Route 210 corridor and the technology corridor that can be utilized for public gathering space? A park, it doesn't have to be 30 acres, it could be a couple of acres, and we can help you create a community identity. So is the county able to identify land like this? Do we have a way to have a public-private partnership with the county or with some of the other businesses and the military in the area to support this?
So let's talk. So I know we don't have any county reps up on the board, up on the panel today. Thank you, Pat, for your question. Let's talk about the parks that we have, the need for that public gathering space. How do those important questions factor into how your approach is to being among the leaders in Bryan's Road and Indian Head? Talk to us a little bit about a vision for that. Anyone on the panel?
I guess I can start because I think that goes to the, that's why I took the time to read verbatim the recommendation from the Bryan's Road Sub-Area Plan, because it does kind of lean into, regardless of the trying to solve the Rubik's Cube of conservation, development, amenities in Bryant Road, which has been very difficult to solve. There has been seems like a consistent voice of we need gathering places, meeting places, a place for young people to gather, and that recommendation specifically included co-locating the public library, which I know is beyond its useful life. It's beyond its useful life, and that kind of use, public libraries are not what they used to be. Given that Bryant Road's location of the technology corridor as the northernmost entrance, it would really anchor with, if you really had this multi-generational facility anchored by a library, the way that libraries are developed right now, you have the Maryland Airport, you have the Velocity Center, you have the base, you really have at all these nodes technology-oriented educational facilities that could really help to brand and to provide attention and focus for the area that will kind of flow back and forth, I think. I think the other thing I want to say is that people say over and over again, we need amenities, we need amenities. You know, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the numbers. People say, when Safeway went away, it kind of hurt people's feelings, right, in Bryant Road. I understand that. We don't have the numbers that major grocers are looking for, so it's more incumbent for the local government to be more intentional with development, because you need to lead, I think, to show local private sector investors that it's worth by the leadership of the county government. So.
Pam?
I think that you should do what we do. We go straight to the commissioners, and your commissioner is sitting right next to you. All right, there we go. That's how you do it.
Anything to add? Okay. We have time for one more question. Isn't there another question in the audience? Yep, go ahead, Mark. Here's a microphone so everyone can hear you, sorry.
Have you been thinking about, we're sort of on, I'm sorry to ask another farm question, but like we're on the edge of the quote unquote technology corridor. It really sort of is on one side of Chickamuxon Road, and we're on the other side. And so thinking about how you integrate those rural areas into this particular situation, if you want to talk about amenities, whether it's good wholesome food or other things like that, how is that envisaged as a part of this overall plan, rather than just this very thin corridor that runs down 210?
Yeah, so it's really a question of how do we connect the corridor itself to what's going on in the broader geographic area. Anyone want to address that?
Well, I think with your plans and what you talked about is, when you have a tourist thing, excuse me for this explanation, but this is how it is in my mind. You have a tourist thing and you have dots of where things are, sights to see. And with the energy that you're trying to create, that would be a dot, but kind of out of the limit, but it would be a point of reference, of interest for people to go to. I don't think you have to be in the zone, you know what I mean? You can be off to the side, because what you're doing is very interesting, very apropos, and I think it would interest a lot of people, my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. As I've kind of mentioned, the technology corridor sort of splits it bifurcates the Bryant Road Town Center area. So when I think about the technology corridor, we say the corridor, but it's really an area, kind of an awkward triangle area. But I'm thinking about everything that's on both sides of it, and that's why I keep coming back to activation to bring in attention and leverage the message that we have here with the history and the culture and the technology focus that everybody's going to in the future.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much to our panelists today, Phil Straisner, Pam Frank, Dawood Abdurrahman. Really great talk. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over, once we get off the stage, our fearless leader, Jim Chandler, will be back on the stage to bring us on home to the remainder of the day.
All right, thank you, Paul, and our panelists. All right, so it's about that time. We're going to bring in our closer today. Very excited to introduce Kelly Schultz, Chief Executive Officer of the Maryland Technology Council. Kelly brings a wealth of experience and insight into how technology and innovation are shaping Maryland's future. As we look ahead, she'll share her perspective on where technology, and innovation are headed, how strategic partnerships like the ones we discussed here today can help capitalize on these opportunities. Welcome, Kelly Schultz.
Hello. I didn't know that I was being billed as the closer. And that means that I stand between you and everything else in your day. But we're going to try to make it worth your time, and let's just talk about the state of the state as to where we're sitting right now in this very moment. But first, I have to say thank you for inviting me to come out. Thanks to Charles County. I think I did the Fall Economic Development Summit maybe 6 or 7 years ago. 5 years ago. I've aged. 5, it has been 5. And that was in a little bit different role, and that was a really different time, right? I mean, everything has changed a lot, and then in some ways it hasn't changed at all. But today I want to talk to you about the new role in which I am in, and that is, as was mentioned, I'm the CEO of the Maryland Tech Council. Just a very brief about what the Maryland Tech Council is. We are a membership organization, and we represent industries of everything tech. So we were talking a little bit on the panel about different types of tech. I consider tech really anything that provides innovation and growth within our communities. When I came to the Maryland Tech Council 3 years ago, we had about 500 members. The tech was very streamlined, cyber, digital software development, and then all life science and biotech on the other side of our house. And I said, but tech is so much different than that. Tech is energy tech and ag tech and clean climate tech and all of these really cool, interesting subsectors of what we consider technology. And so I'm proud to say today, under our big umbrella, we have over 900 members. So we're growing because there is a desire to be able to include technology into really just about everything that we're doing out there in the world. And in Charles County, I will say, I was here for that little shovel ground digging across the street at USBTA and here at the Velocity Center. And so congratulations coming back down this strip and kind of seeing the vibrancies and the cars in the parking lots. I still haven't been in to see the really cool stuff across the street, but I might knock on their door on my way home just to see if anybody will answer. But there's a lot that's happening here, and so congratulations for you on that. But I want to talk a little bit about partnerships, because partnerships really is the driving factor of where we go and what we do in any type of an ecosystem, right? Whether it's concentrating on workforce development or economic development. My former commerce staffers that are in this room right now, they will tell you, you cannot have economic development without workforce development. And to my labor friends in the room, you cannot have workforce development without economic development. And you're not going to create larger communities unless you have the partnership between both of those. And so I've been blessed in my career to be able to experience it from both sides. But I want to talk about tech specifically today because tech isn't just an important industry. It's really the industry that makes everything else work right now, right? So we can't say that we want to be techie without including techie into all of the stuff that we're trying to do. I heard a little bit about the farmers market. I would love to come visit your farmers market and see what you're doing. Because if we don't know how to use AI in order to be able to determine the types of market finds that need to be there for individuals out there to say, what is the need of this community, then we're not doing the best use of technology and utilization of it in order to be able to benefit our communities, right? And that's really, I think, what we can do as far as we move forward. So let's think about this. In the year 2030, that's literally, just 4 years from now. It seems like the Jetsons, but really it's just 4 years from now. About 20 to 30%, probably closer to 30% of all AI agents will be automated. Automated our jobs. AI agents are going to automate most of the work, or at least a good portion of the work that we're doing today. More than half of new molecules, if you're in the life science world,
More than half of new molecules and materials within biotech will be discovered with the help of AI. By 2030, consumers and businesses will generate twice as much data every day as we have created in the past 10 years. Sit on that one for a second. That's a lot of data that we're creating and a lot of data that is going to be consumed and generated. Companies that understand the transformation, not necessarily the technical aspects of how to do it, but understand the transformation of what technology, AI, and all of the other technology aspects, those are the companies that will succeed. And we know this and we see this today. And there's a little bit of hesitancy and people want to be careful, right? We want to be careful. We want to understand the data that we're analyzing and the data that comes spitting out at us. That's why us humans, gratefully, will always be in need. We will always have jobs because we have to be the ones to be able to help analyze that. But there will be a lot of data sets that are consumed and generated forthwith. Whether you're a manufacturer, a service firm, a small business, you'll increasingly be expected to be literate in digital tools, data analytics, clouds, automation, and of course, AI. These are not any longer, it would be nice to know. These are, we need to know. That's why it's so important that we're sitting in this facility, an academic institution, to be able to educate those of us around that may not have the immediate attention in order to be able to provide us with the depth of knowledge that we need in order to be able to make these tools successful for what we have. You have to be comfortable using it. You don't have to know how to do it. You have to be comfortable in using it. And so in Maryland, we talk a lot about, I'll just be quite honest, right? I mean, so we have conversations about a little bit of a budget deficit. You know, there's things that are happening around the state. We need to be able to create growth. All of the statistics show that Maryland, as far as our growth patterns, we are not keeping up with other states around us or in the country. We are a little stagnant, all right? And so I am a firm believer, and I believe the governor is a firm believer as well, that there are industries in this state that we can help to promote in order to be able to create growth. In Maryland, we are not going to get to a growth level. We're not going to dig out of the basement unless we really, really look at innovative ways to get there. And those innovative ways, ironically, are innovation. Innovation and all technology. Being able to address what all of those technology assets and resources that we have currently here in the state of Maryland in order to be able to create opportunities for expansion of growth, expansion of revenues within the state. Governor Moore calls them his lighthouse industries. That is biotech, aerospace, and cyber, right? All technology. And I would say there's lots of little subsectors in between all of those lighthouse sectors so that we can help to expand, to grow them. In order to do that, we have a couple of things that we have to get past. I call them the headwinds of economic development. Do you ever feel like you're standing out there and you're like, okay, we got this. We got this. This is a no-brainer. We're going to go out and we're going to win the day because we have this great idea and we're going to do it. And then the headwinds come in. And you're like, oh, maybe not as fast as I thought I was, right? And in Maryland, we have some of that. I would say nationally as well. You can't listen to the news or read a newspaper or get your AI-generated news clips without understanding that there's a lot of policy and regulatory concerns that are happening within those industries in which we know are going to be able to help us create growth. At the federal level, there's lots of new regulations, there's lots of new tariffs, right? There's a focus on manufacturing, there's a focus on SIM cards, there's a focus on all of these materials that are so important to what we're doing. But there's also those headwinds because there are policy and regulatory decisions that are holding us back from that. That's hard. In the state of Maryland, it's no different. We talk about the importance of technology in the state of Maryland, and how that is going to be part of our growth strategy in the state of Maryland. And yet, sorry for any of those in the room that may disagree with me on this, we impose a tech tax on all tech companies in the state of Maryland. That's a headwind. Because just as that happened, you heard all across the state from all of our members, from all of my tech community, they said, that was a hard one to take, right? But it happened. It's a headwind. That doesn't mean that we stop. It means that we have to push a little bit harder. There's also some of the counties. I'm going to talk about it in just a minute, but we have technologies that are coming to some of the counties that is related to data center development and expansions in order to be able to create that next path moving forward. Lots of local jurisdictions have a hard time with that, and I get it, because a lot of our communities have a hard time with that, and I get it. So let's talk about that, but those are all headwinds. Those are things that we have to be able to move beyond, get past, help people understand and educate and create partnerships in order for us to be able to have those opportunities for more innovation, resulting in more growth. So those headwinds are real, but I will say what we have here in Charles County is a little bit different, right? The feds have laid off. I don't know, has anybody in this room been furloughed? Is that why you're here, trying to pass your time away? I have a son, he's been furloughed now for 36 days. Thank goodness he has a newborn at home, because I'm like, well, you better be doing something, you gotta change those diapers, right? But it's hard. I mean, the NAVC, it did not impact them, right? So a small little community like Indian Head has those headwinds as well, right? You're trying to grow your community, and then we have members of the federal employment realm who have been laid off for now an extended period of time. And we feel bad about that, and we have to figure out how to be able to make that up at the end of the year in an upcoming head game. So those are all challenges. Those are headwinds. But I also want to talk about some tailwinds, some of those things that are going to help to push us over where we need to be. It is not bad news that Maryland's unemployment rate is at 3.6%, right? That may change after the first of the year. We are heavily dependent on federal employment. That may change more, but 3.6% is a tailwind. We have people that are employed that are out there doing good things in the world. We have innovation that's taking off, like X-Energy. Has anybody heard of X-Energy? It's a really super cool company that is creating small modular reactors. Tamar knows X-Energy because they're in Frederick, and they're also in Montgomery County and Rockville. So they're on the other side of the state. But what they're doing is they're looking at innovative ways in order to be able to create an energy supply system, because Maryland doesn't supply its own energy. Right? And so X-Energy is working with states all across the country, trying to help them solve some of their headwinds, which is the shortage of electricity and energy in the country, specifically in Maryland, because we purchase more than 40% of the energy that we use here in the state from other states. They're pretty cool. X-Energy expanded. They're a good hometown story. AstraZeneca. Has anybody heard of AstraZeneca? Yeah. See, they've just expanded. They built a new $300 million biomanufacturing facility, again, over on the other side of the state. But it's really good news. People are betting on Maryland, not because they have to, but because there's something here that they like. And I'm going to tell you what they like. They like our workforce best of all. One of the advantages that Maryland has, and why I'm so happy to be standing here at the Velocity Center, is that we have the smartest population in the country. Did you know that? Like, literally, we have more PhDs per capita in Maryland than any other state. We have smart people here. We have scientists here. We have researchers here. We have good, strong, hard workers here that want to continue to do really good things. I would say the best part of my job as being the CEO of the Maryland Tech Council is I get to be around the smartest people on the planet just about every day. People who are changing people's lives, whether it be at Johns Hopkins or University of Maryland at College Park. They're researching, trying to cure cancer. And you know what? They're getting success. They're researching how to create quantum computing, which I still don't understand, but the important thing is that they do. And that's going to change the world. That's what they tell me because they're the smartest people in the room every single time. But we have this in Maryland, which is unique to all of the other states in the country. And we have the third largest biotech ecosystem in the United States of America. Third only to California and Boston. I don't know if we're going to reach them anytime soon, but I do know that they are here and they want to be able to thrive and grow in an ecosystem that is going to be innovative just like themselves. And that ecosystem, how does it get there? I heard somebody a little earlier say, we say ecosystem too much, but it's a real word, right? It is a real word and we say it a lot because I think it's so meaningful. And that system is built up of partnerships. That's where the Maryland Tech Council comes in, right? So Maryland Tech Council is kind of like the connecting tissue between all of these other groups, whether it be government groups, whether it be private business, whether it be academia, and we pull everything together to be able to say, let's all sit down and let's create growth together with you really smart people that are doing really incredible human life-changing things. And so partnerships really are the key to where we need to go. It is the answer because I think that we can, I still consider it my mission to be able to say we can have the best state in the nation, growing the best innovators in the nation and the best technologies in order to create the best jobs and the best advancement for our populace here in the state of Maryland. It can be done and we still continue to do that. But government at all levels, they make it, hard on us, which is why I say, we now do government affairs, advocacy 12 months out of the year. The legislators are down there for 90 days. We're working them every day. We need to educate. We need to talk. We need to create partnerships. We need to pull people together, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples of that. Several years ago, the Maryland Tech Council did a study with the biotech community, and that was, what are you missing? Where is your weak link? Where are the gaps? And they said, you know what? We're doing pretty good, thank you. We have really smart people here. What we're missing out on is those entry-level positions to fill that gap to somebody to come into a manufacturing line and do something simple like learn how to gown up for a clean room. I don't know how to do that. We're teaching people to do that. 7 years after that study, last year, we actually opened up our BioHub training facility, and we are training individuals to go into a life-altering career change that is going to change the directive of their lives. And that wasn't just a partnership with us, it's a partnership with the Maryland Tech Council, with our industry partners who are super supportive, with our elected officials, for them to say this is something that we care about, we want to make other smart people coming into industries that they never even knew existed before. Just this past summer, our second partnership that I'm going to talk about today is the Data Center Alliance. And talk about hot button issues. We step in it all the time with that one, don't we? We talk about this need for data and everything, and I'm not going to try to sell or change anybody's mind on their position of data centers in your community right now, except to say that there are billions and billions and billions of dollars being spent in other states and in other communities right now, with those local communities collecting a lot of revenues to pay for things like education, STEM education, transportation, infrastructure. And so we pulled together at the Maryland Tech Council a steering committee made up of individuals from the community and from the industry to be able to talk about what are some of the innovative ways that we can work together on and partner on to make those data centers a little bit or a lot of bit different than what the expectations are for them right now. And how do we send that message and communicate with communities and neighbors so that they understand that innovation is happening every day? And there's always a better way to build anything. And so we're really excited about forming those partnerships with the industry, with government, with academia, with local community organizations, to really get out there and start doing that. As a matter of fact, a month and a half ago, I was in Calvert County and we did a presentation for that community. Next week, I'll be in Prince George's County doing a presentation for that community.
And just so that people understand and are aware of the types of, again, jobs and life-altering types of innovation and scenarios that come out of taking that step into that technology world. So I would say of all of the members that we have, of the 900 members, I would say about 50% of them right now are looking at the Maryland Tech Council to be on their side because of one policy issue or another. Because they're looking for organizations to be able to connect to so that they can speak in a larger and a louder voice in order to be able to connect. And that's a role that we have been able to fill, to speak on behalf of all of those businesses that are in our state and those community leaders, to get them the education that they need to learn about these industries that are really tough to learn about. And so when we develop our presentations, I make sure that my team knows we're going to talk in Kelly Talk, which, by the way, is a kindergarten voice, because we need to talk to somebody so that we can understand it, so that we can educate them in a way that hits home to them. So they're pretty good at speaking in the Kelly kindergarten voice. So I also want to say, you know, and I want to actually leave it for some questions as well, but there's a uniqueness to the state of Maryland, in case you haven't noticed, right? And so we're talking about, you know, the different areas of Charles County, and I would invite you just think about the different areas of Frederick County. I live in Maryland. I live in Frederick County, and there are similarities to Charles County. There's also differences. There's also Baltimore City. There's also Talbot County. There's Montgomery County, right? So all of these really different, unique environments around our state have one thing in common. We live amongst each other, 6 million plus individuals, who all have access to the same types of resources. We just have to be able to make sure people know that they have access to that. Charles County is unique. You have a Navy base here. We don't have, well, we have an Army base in Frederick, but it's not on water. But there's the sameness in the desire of the community college system to be an active part of the communities. There's the desire for the industries, the business community, to be an active part of helping elected officials make decisions. But we have to take our uniqueness as a treasure. We have to say there's something special about everywhere we live, and we need to roll with that. Right? So, again, one of the great reasons why I was so happy to be here was just to see the building across the street. Because that building is not just unique to Charles County in the state of Maryland. That building is unique in the United States of America. They chose Charles County for a reason, and it's that uniqueness that we have to continue to also take advantage of and to be able to excel and sell what those uniquenesses are. And then we have to accelerate our partnerships. We have to look for every chance that we can get in order to be able to put our footprint. The Western Charles Tech Corridor, how cool is that? That's really, really accelerating our partnerships that should already exist and putting them on a piece of paper and selling it to everybody else out there, right? It's as simple as saying, we want a tech corridor, so we're going to put it on paper, and by golly, we're going to have a tech corridor. And then you have one, and then you have a success. You have a seed of something really great for someone to say, a tech corridor in Charles County, maybe I should go check that out. That sounds like a great place for us to be able to meet other people that are just like us trying to innovate and grow. And then that leads us to like the clusters, right, and the locations. And I think that that is all super smart. People think that, I'll just use Montgomery County and Charles County, that you guys may as well be in other states. When's the last time you were in Montgomery County, right? When's the last time someone in Montgomery County came to Charles County? And in reality, it's that close together. Right? We are a part of a cluster, even if we think that we're a million miles apart.
So utilizing assets and resources from those clusters that are also around us will only help us to continue to grow and escalate where we are. And I hope that what has come across in this short period of time is that partnerships, clusters, organizations, it all means togetherness. Togetherness. We have to be able to understand that those headwinds are going to still be there. They're going to remain. Some years they might ease up. Most years they probably won't. Let's see what happens in January and February and March as to where we're going to be with that. But I would say accessing, utilizing, and expanding the knowledge of those tailwinds that we have to continue to push us over is what I think the communities are going to expect from those in this room that have the ability to make that change and to understand the exact amount of innovation and growth that we're going to have in order to be able to move Charles County and the state of Maryland forward. But I'm very grateful. Again, thank you for having me here today. And I know we have a limited time for questions, but I'm happy to answer questions that anybody might have.
Ladies first.
Hi, I'm Pat Wilson with Canopy. Even though we do farmers markets, I have a pretty healthy understanding and respect for AI and the technology that has led us to the current AI revolution. So my question is kind of an open-ended question to you, because you can see the whole landscape and the pitfalls, the headwinds and the tailwinds. So how can you guarantee, or how can Charles County provide the workforce for these tech companies that might be looking around and trying to find their next big home or create their next big headquarters or site or data center? How can they develop the workforce that will attract them? Because these companies need to know, well, sure, we're gonna relocate some of our staff, but they can't relocate them all. That's very expensive. Yeah. So what would your recommendation be to Charles County leadership to endorse a growth for this? How would you turn a headwind into a tailwind when it comes to educating workforce?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and you're right. There are some very special, unique talents when it comes to the data processing side of AI, right? But I think getting people accustomed to actually what the collection is of the data and what the product is that's generated from the data. So I know, well, first, we all know that STEAM, that whole curriculum has to remain, right? So in our K through 12 systems, you cannot go through any year without having multiple courses in technology, in science. That's just a must. That's like the very lowest bar of what we have to do. But then when you talk with the companies that are hiring for specific roles that may be using AI, it is the data analytics, it is the human processing and understanding of the data that's coming out as the output that we are still going to have to be able to acknowledge. So I would say data scientists are going to remain one of the top positions that we have to be able to focus for.
Good afternoon. I have a question. I know there's a lot of things to balance when it comes to AI and technology, environmentally, but I want to focus on the question of the AI is creating so much efficiency so fast that, you know, some of the headlines you see, companies are laying off employees because they're more efficient now. People coming out of college now are having more difficulty, or coming out of school generally have more difficulty getting entry-level positions because of AI. So I'm wondering how that conversation, the balance of the rapid technology and the efficiency that's causing, and then the companies that are responding by saying, well, we don't need to keep this staff, or we don't have to hire new staff. How is that conversation happening with the technology?
Yeah, I would say flexibility, right? So there's flexibility that has to be there amongst those that are hiring within the industries, and then there has to be that flexibility for those of us that have gone through that educational process, right? I like to use this example. When I first started at the Department of Labor in 2015, we used the statistic that there were 30,000 vacant jobs for IT and cyber in the state of Maryland. So we said, we have to create more training programs in Maryland because there's 30,000 vacancies right now. So we did. We created lots more training programs. Do you know what they're saying in the Department of Labor right now about how many vacant jobs there are in IT and cyber? 30,000. But what I also hear is that those students that are graduating from a four-year university with a computer science degree aren't finding jobs. And they send me their resumes every single day. Not because they don't know about computers, but they don't know how to use it. They don't have a skill in order to be able to be proficient in that company that wants to hire them. So what we can do for anybody, because whether it's AI or whether it's the moon bounce company or whatever it is that's going to be hiring that might be different than we're hiring for today, there has to be some flexibility and there has to be an understanding from the industry about those specific skills that are needed in order to be able to get hired. And so no matter what part of the educational system you're in, that practical skill, that practical understanding of what's happening day to day for those students to be able to learn something additional, maybe not at a four-year university, maybe at a training center, maybe at an online certification course, that's going to be their number one best option to get employed in any of the industry sectors that we're talking about.
Thank you.
Because remember, we still only have a 3.6% unemployment rate, which is super duper low, right? So people have jobs out there. We need to make sure that they have the skills for the jobs for the future.
Hello, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm a local commercial realtor. Is there anything that you see that would be a good fit as far as businesses, the type of company to come here? Is it like that you see that's already set up? I know you mentioned data centers, but.
Well, so let's talk about the innovation community in general, right? And I know that because of the proximity not only to Indian Head, but Charles County is in close proximity to Washington, D.C. So there's always going to be the need for technology as it relates to government contracting. So being able to understand what that looks like is really great. But I would say this part of the state specifically very much focused on aerospace and those types of technologies and the assets that we have and the knowledge, the intellectual property that is here, being able to track that so that it's closer to the end user, like the one gentleman who had his company here, I didn't remember the name of that. That would, I would say, accentuate those positives that will give you a natural tailwind to move forward.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Right. Thank you. That was actually a very insightful presentation. My name is Charles, and I work with T12 Technologies. We're probably the only IT company here. Haven't met any other. We're new to Charles County. My question is around AI, right? It's become a buzzword today. We've thrown around AI, lots of generative AI solutions. The concern really is about data readiness and validation for AI, right? There's going to be companies here who support business, government agencies, businesses who are in healthcare. My question to you is, does the Maryland Technology Council have education programs for businesses to help them with gaining regulatory governance, security, and compliance in readiness for AI?
I would say the very short answer is yes. We do about 80 events a year. Some of those are our largest, technology conferences that we have in the state, but some of them are webinars. And so we have our members that will do lunch and learns and webinar series for our members and even those that are not our members, right? Because you're right. The product that we get is only as good as the data that we feed to the system. And being able to understand how to not get caught up in bad data is going to be that part of the future where in a computer, is not going to be able to understand what's bad data and good data. They're just being fed the data, right?
Dave Brown with AgriCompost International. You had mentioned early in your talk casting a wider net around many different technologies. Of your many members, do you have a segmentation or a segment or a leadership or a focus group that is directly looking at ag tech?
Well, again, the very short answer to that is yes. By way of, so the Maryland Tech Council is the state affiliate for the Bio International Organization, Big Bio, right? So they're the big overarching support system for all of the state affiliates. They are a state affiliate. And Bio had, up until this past summer, a separate ag bio division, a sector within them. They've split that off to another nonprofit to work with that. We do have several ag tech companies that are a part of the Maryland Tech Council, probably not enough for a full-blown program right now. Okay, thank you all very much. It was a pleasure. Have a good rest of your day.
There's a reason we brought her in as the closer. And I will say, Kelly, USBTA is here, so if you want to tour across the street, maybe try on the bomb suit. Our friends there are always hospitable. We've reached the end. I just want to say some words of appreciation. One, for all our speakers and moderators today. We hope that you walk away with this learning a lot, information that's available, resources. We spent a great deal of time trying to figure out, who should be on these panels, really what information needs to be conveyed, what's of value to you as attendees here. We recognize this is the fall, right? There's a lot of competing events. And so the fact that you took time out of your morning to spend this with us means a great deal. So thank you. I see we have Commissioner Coates here. I just want to recognize you. We know we're pulling you in a couple different directions, so I want to say thank you for stopping by. My staff, if you're a member of EDD staff, please just stand up. So our staff has spent a great deal of time putting this together today. It's a heavy lift. It is well worth it. So I just want to say thank you to them. And then I have one shameless plug. And James, where's James? James Vasquez. So if you're interested in AI prompts turning into profits, November 13th, 5:30 p.m. If you're a business owner operator, here's the place. Be there. James, did I do a good job? All right. Thank you again. We appreciate you spending time with us this morning. We have a quick survey. If you participate, it helps us inform future opportunities here. We want to provide programming that makes sense, is on point for the folks in attendance here. So please fill out the survey, and that's it. We'll see you next year. Thank you.